Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Boston Red Sox sweep the Yankees, and before nightfall, trade Yankee killer Rafael Devers to the Giants for not so much whatsoever, but get the Giants to take on all of Devers' contract with $250 million left over the next 9 years. The Oklahoma City Thunder even the NBA Finals up at 2 after winning Game 4, 111-104 in Indy. Tonight is the pivotal Game 5 back in Oklahoma City. Will it be the league's most valuable player or the league's allegedly most overrated player who comes through tonight? And Shohei Ohtani, in a surprise, is starting tonight for the Dodgers. The Stanley Cup Finals go to Game 6 tomorrow, and the Magic decide darkness is their ally, trading for Bane. Tonight, live, without Errol, the Fish Cast strikes back with a brand new episode of Joba and the Mouth.
The Mets are going to give him a significant. They're going to have a ton of money to spend. Why not put it in one of the top 3 offensive players in the league? We're going to be looking at Aaron Judge and saying that he can't win the big game. Michael Jordan said, I played 82 games. You don't see LeBron doing that.
This is a game where you got to go perform.
I told you, Giant fans, that Saquon Barkley at this point. I'm gonna fight him all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off. Take it down. Say whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Really? And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. And back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette. do it.
You're listening to Joba the Mouth.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Joba and the Mouth. I'm filling in here, Aaron Fishman, filling in for the one and only Errol Marks on a cruise right now, but we're still here live with Speedy Petey and Joba Chamberlain on scene from Omaha, the College World Series. What's up, boys?
What's happening?
Speedy, we don't have any sound on you right now. It's telling me 4. Usually people say 5. They put their hand up. But I appreciate that Speedy's trying to get it done even faster than that.
Hey, no, I'm back now. I guess
there he is.
He's back. He's back.
What's going on, guys? Well, tonight is a very special edition. Again, Errol is on vacation. He doesn't take many of them, but he trusts us enough to do so. He's on a cruise. So I want to start off talking a little bit about cruises. Guys, if you are interested in calling in tonight, before we get into any of that stuff, we're not going to do it through the phones. You have to get a link through StreamYard. So please reach out on socials and text if you're trying to get into it, and we'll have you guys contact back and forth in DMs, and we'll try to get one of you on. It would be wonderful.
Thank you as well to our first commenter, Sean Browning, subscribing to our page as well.
Yeah, we saw some comments. People want to have more callers. Well, it's just a little bit tricky. You know, we have some of us are in upstate New York. Some of us are out in Long Island. We got people in Nebraska. It's a little bit tricky to also have a phone call and go through the system. So we'd like to try to do more of that going forward. Absolutely, for sure. So we welcome everybody that's coming in. Look, this is the day after Father's Day. We're going to have a little bit of Father's Day talk in the middle of this episode tonight. At 8:45, we have Frank Luna coming on. He is an Army veteran. He is working with the troops. He works with a bunch of guys. He's famously caught the home run ball. That was the first home run, I believe, of Andrew Velasquez when he was playing with the Yankees. Had that run in the Bronx-born boy. Our guy Nathan, bringing him on the show. We're excited to talk to him at 8:45 p.m. tonight. A lot of interesting stories we'll get to later. But first, Joba, how many cruises have you ever been on?
I've actually never been on a cruise.
So I've been on a few. Speedy, you ever go on a cruise with your family?
I have not.
Speedy, I think you would love a cruise. It's like you're in like an indoor mall, and they have like places to party inside. They have casinos inside. They got all you can eat throughout the entire place, and everyone's mission is just to be hammered the entire time and sit out by the pool when it's nice out and dance and party when it's dark out.
I've been on a few boats. I've been on when I was in Maine back in 2022. I went whale watching and did a fishing boat one of the other times when I was in 2013, and we actually encountered a bald eagle pretty close to us. But no, never been on a cruise.
Bald eagle. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of bald eagles up by where I coach football by West Point. We see them sometimes driving up in the fall, which is really cool. The interns are right on top of this in the chat. Errol doesn't drink yet. He's on the cruise right now. And I when I was 19, I went on a no booze cruise with my family. Do you think that's something a 19-year-old just finished freshman year of college is interested in doing?
Doesn't seem like it. What was the circumstances?
Joba, you're muted. The circumstances, it was, we have a trip. Let's go. We'll have, I think it was to like Cozumel, Mexico. But you just stop there for a day. You don't get to actually go to Cozumel. You don't get to experience much culture unless you do like these excursions. And we got to go to like Mayan ruins, and it was really cool. But I didn't really appreciate it because I was 18 or 19 and all I wanted to do was party. And I'm there with my parents and there was like nothing to do. My little brother, there were a bunch of little kids running around. He had a great time. I was talking to him about it at Father's Day. He came on over. We grilled up some food, some shish kebabs. I've gotten into a big shish kebab kick recently. Marinate them in some teriyaki marinade I make myself. And they always seem to come out good. You know, just some vegetables. Pineapple, by the way. Pineapple and teriyaki sauce. Match made in heaven. I don't know if you ever knew that, guys. But
interesting. I will give a shout out to our intern, Zach, with the word of the day, thalassophobia.
Yeah, Zach, why don't you turn your camera on just for a second? Because you got to tell us this word. I've never heard this before. I have taught AP history, and I thought I've seen pretty much everything in an essay. Pronounce this and tell us what this is.
So thalassophobia is a fear of very deep water. It stems from the movie Jaws because I'm terrified of sharks, which has nothing to do with deep water. But
so does Errol. Errol's also terrified of sharks. Another reason why this is a crazy trip for him.
Yeah, like I find sharks so fascinating. I find any sea creature fascinating, but I won't go in the sea because if I can't touch the bottom of something, I'm not going in it. I'm just not. I don't like it. Like I remember 2 summers ago, I went out to the beach with my friends who surf, and they wanted to go to the sandbar. And those of you who don't know what a sandbar is, it's basically like a pile of sand kind of far out in the water. Yeah. And I didn't realize how far out it was. And I started swimming and I couldn't touch the bottom of the ocean. And I was freaking out. I was like hyperventilating. It was the worst time of my life. It was so terrifying.
We have plenty of those here with the beaches on the South Shore. And I'm sure Nathan's experienced a bunch of them in New Jersey as well.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Joba, so, you got any sandbar experiences? Some nice little bars out in the middle of nowhere?
Not necessarily in the middle of nowhere. Maybe some swim-up bars at some hotels and resorts, but no sandbars. I swam with dolphins. I want to do, speaking of you being scared of sharks, I want to do like a shark cage where you go down and like get to take pictures. Like that would be super, super cool.
Joba versus the Jaw.
Yeah, I just hope somehow it doesn't come unloose and they can come get me. So it's like, but no, I love it. I remember I was a sophomore in college, and I got snorkeling for the first time because being in Nebraska, you don't really get these oceans and stuff. So it's like, our lakes are just fishing and ripping lips. That's about all we do here. So I'll never forget. I learned what coral was real quick when I wasn't paying attention, and I went over it. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it.
That it's as sharp as like anything could be.
Yeah, wasn't it?
It's like knives of sandpaper almost.
It was. So I went back-to-back years. I went as a player in college, and I got drafted, and I played in Winter League in Hawaii. And so when we were there my sophomore year, it was whale mating season. So we got to see, like, you could hear the noises under the water, and then you could literally, like, then watch them jump. And, like, how does something that big jump out of the water? Like, how does that happen?
There's definitely some scientific explanation to behind how they can get that much force. But I imagine once they start moving, it's hard to stop that train.
Joba, in the simplest of terms, it's evolution.
Oh, thanks, Speedy. That helps.
We are going to be without the soundboard tonight, aren't we? It's going to definitely be a different feel for the show.
We might just have to bring Nathan in just to fill in his sounds.
He can do them himself.
Yeah, Nathan is like a walking soundboard. That is true. Guys, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff tonight. Obviously, Stanley Cup Finals. Game 6 is tomorrow. Florida's up 3-2. We'll get to that later tonight. There was a wild NBA trade between the Magic and the Grizzlies for Desmond Bane. Something around 5 first-round picks were either traded or swapped in it, including a pick this year and a very coveted pick next year, if I'm not mistaken. We are going to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Before he starts tonight, he's going to be the opener, it looks like, for the Dodgers as part of his rehab. He's going to be starting tonight, and nobody thought we were going to see him until, much closer to the All-Star break, but most of us thought after the All-Star break. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to get right into some of our big stories right now. The Yankees were swept by the Red Sox this weekend. But I don't know if I've ever seen a situation as similar to this, where the Red Sox trade a guy who's their best hitter after sweeping the first-place team, getting within 6.5 games back, and yes, trade star, I guess still third baseman, technically, Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. That's where we're starting tonight. So Devers to the Giants. Fansided's Robert Murray reports that the Red Sox have traded Rafael Devers to the Giants. The Red Sox get back left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, who's like a top prospect that really didn't show much his first year. It's his second year now. Relief pitcher Jordan Hicks, who's tried to start. He was a closer. He went from St. Louis. He ended up bouncing around a little bit himself. Outfield prospect James Tibbs, who's their 4th overall prospect, and rookie ball pitcher Jose Bello. The Giants will take on the remainder, the entirety of Devers' contract, which has $250 million left on it, $250 million over the next 9 years. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports the Red Sox and Devers grew tired of each other in regards to Devers wanting to stay at third base when the Red Sox wanted him to be the designated hitter. Passan adds that the Red Sox asked Devers if he would move to first base after full-time after Tristan Casas suffered a season-ending injury earlier this year. Devers said no, and this was the final straw in the relationship. The Red Sox are sitting at 37-36 right now, 6.5 games back in the AL East, half a game back in the AL wild card. The Giants themselves, 2 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West, currently second NL wild card spot. Devers currently this year batting .272, .905 OPS, 15 homers, 58 RBIs. I guess they don't want to win. I guess they decided we don't want to have a good team this year. We want to bottom out as best we can. We don't want to spend the money. We want to get rid of all our bad contracts. And we think we did it. We have the best farm system. We are ready to start over. With the great 3 guys they brought up, Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Mayer. It's hard to argue with that philosophy, except you just traded a guy who's, when Clayton Kershaw heard this on the air, right after it was traded, he said he's easily one of the top 10 hitters in all of baseball. He also started the year horrifically. Do you remember how bad his April was, Rafael Devers? We did a segment.
Didn't he go 0 for like 20 something?
Yeah, with like 13 strikeouts to start the season.
I'm pretty sure Kirky mentioned it in his segment. Yeah,
we did a segment of like the guys who had the worst stats in all of April, and Devers was like one of the worst players in the league. The fact that his numbers are now .272 with a .905 OPS, that tells you just how good he's been since May 1st. You can argue he's a top 5 hitter in all of baseball since May 1st. He's been that good. In fact, he destroyed the Yankees again, like he always does. He's one of those Yankee killers, like David Ortiz generations ago. Every time this guy got up, you knew that he was going to have something for even our best pitchers. That's who Devers was. Garrett Cole, I'm sure, is happy, even though he's not pitching this year, doesn't have to see him anymore, or at least more than every once in a while. Garrett Cole, I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't think he did very well against Devers. My memory is a little, I seem to just remember it being really bad. This is a fascinating trade. I don't know if I've ever seen this happen. Joba, when was the last time that you have seen anything like this happen from a team that just swept the first place team?
I honestly had no idea. And shout out to my guy, Jared Carabas. Follow him on Jared_Carabas on X, Twitter, and his podcast. And he's a Red Sox guy. And, you know, I try to go to the source when I can. And he even didn't have any idea. And I don't know the time that I seen it. I don't know if there was something internally that was going on.
It had to be. There were no other rumors.
Yeah, and we didn't hear anything. And it was like, oh, okay, they kind of got through it. When they signed Bregman, we obviously talked about that and kind of how that went. But we hadn't really heard anything about it. And then obviously he made the turn. And, you know, as Kyle stated in our chat, he was 0 for 19 with 15 Ks. Like that's an awful start.
As bad as you can start.
In an awful stretch. And so, you know, I'm just asking guys that know, because we hadn't heard anything. And if we hear something, we're obviously going to talk about it and understand, you know, kind of where they're coming from. But this after a sweep, and still obviously, you know, people are panicking, but they're still 42-29. Like, let's just be honest. But for it to happen in this way, I think what really says it, and you said it, Fish, is the fact that they're like, you know what? We got rid of the entire contract. And I think that tells us something. I don't know what that is, but they definitely told us something there. And is that Craig Breslow and what they were doing in the front office, either trying to get rid of it or saying like our farm system is good enough to where we can replace these guys? I think there's a little bit telling factors in kind of pieces, not necessarily the whole tale of it. But I think it comes down to the lingering effect that I think this all had from the start, right? When Bregman came in and did that. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And it really will be, and see what happens.
Speedy, I got the analytics for you that I wanted you to focus on as we go through this.
Yeah.
I read something that Devers like contract value is like like if there was like there's a specific measurement where they said that his contract's so bad it's like he's worth negative $40 million to his team.
Really?
Why are people saying this about Devers when we see the offense?
And especially when Clayton comes out and says he's one of and you got to put respect on Clayton's name for what he's done, right? And
you would think a Hall of Fame left-handed pitcher would know who the good left-handed hitters are.
Yeah,
right.
And he's one of the better pure hitters for a lefty, too, at least at the beginning of his career. So maybe those strikeout numbers, I guess, got that number down. I was thinking, yeah, okay, there's going to be a negative. I would never have thought negative 40 million like that. I would maybe 20, 15. But
it's a massive contract, right?
It is. It is. 11 years, 331 for a player that's young, durable, and left-handed, though, is still something that is going to spawn value. Now, I guess the power numbers for somebody like that have been a bit inconsistent, but he still is it mostly 25 or higher in I think 5 of the 7 years of his career. So it's still not something that is that worrisome for a guy that is super durable. Yes, his defense is a concern, but I think everybody knew that even when he came up as a third baseman. And that's where I don't know if the value still stems for the Red Sox to be able to trade him as drastically as they did. So maybe I think it's exactly what you're saying, Joba, something internal that got worse relationship wise, where it's driven them to think, all right, is there an ulterior motive we can use this money for? That the problem is, why couldn't they try that in this trade? Like, you have a month to do it. If this was like right at the deadline, all right, maybe you say, all right, you don't want this to get worse.
That's the part, Speedy, that kind of like boggles my mind too, is this wouldn't be such a big conversation if it was closer to the deadline, right?
Yeah, because I think they have time. Like, I think especially with the kids already up, all 3 kids of the top prospects we talked about at the start of the year are all up now. Like, you have leeway of maneuvering other contracts. They traded the one kid, the catcher, for Crochet, but the rest of their other young kids are still there in the top 7 of the farm system that year. So they have enough time to maneuver something where you trade one of them, you maybe trade him, and you could still even get a better player. Or the other option is you trade him and then package a deal when you know your weaknesses to try to get the combined value in that, whether it's from other line of depth or whether it's from bullpen, whatever it'll need. Or you get another star that's maybe a slight drop off and another depth pitcher, and then all of a sudden you're in a better spot or in just as good of a spot as if you had Devers there, and maybe it wouldn't cause the same kind of culture issues. I don't know if he had any bad relationships with any of the younger players. I don't think that was revealed as much, but you mentioned the tension with Bregman. Maybe that ended up getting to it. And even with Bregman hurt, though, that's what's the biggest thing that was surprising. He's hurt. Like, you would think, all right, you don't have to deal with him for a month or anything like that. And I guess it was still enough with the front office where it was a big issue. And I want to just relay Kyle's comment as well. Is remind you of the guys where the Red Sox offloaded Adrian Gonzalez and Josh Beckett to the Dodgers. I think it's a little different. They were really badly over the cap at that time, and that's when the cap era I think first started with the luxury tax. And the Red Sox were one of the most disappointing teams in the league that year, and that was later in the season. Like, they were big favorites in that division, definitely, and one of the biggest in the American League at the time when they did that. I think it's a different circumstance than this year, when there's a lot of mediocre teams in the American League right now that they could still make a run in the playoffs. They have these kids coming up. Maybe it's a spark for them. We've seen younger teams do very well in today's game.
So here's what I remember growing up at Joba, and we're the same age, so you remember this guy too. There was a guy on Seattle that didn't play the field after starting his career as third baseman. And I remember him recently getting into the Hall of Fame as a DH named Edgar Martinez. Now, I'm not saying Rafael Devers is the hitter of Edgar Martinez. But if you're trying to get a left-handed power hitter into a lineup that doesn't really have a dude in it, because let's face it, that Giants lineup, if it was missing something, it was missing a centerpiece. It was missing a dude. Now, wouldn't play first base. Maybe he'll play first base for the Giants. He'll play third right now because Chapman had a weird injury to his hand. You know, Chapman sprained 3 of the fingers in his hand. He's going to be out a little bit. So he'll play some third. But once they come back, those are, Chapman and Bregman were were they both Gold Glove winners last year? I think they may have been, right?
Yeah,
so it's the exact same scenario, right? He's going to have to either become just a full-time DH or learn how to play first base. And I think that probably is what he'll do next year. And he can always back up at third. I mean, even Vlad Guerrero Jr. started out playing third base too. We know that. Guys that are a little bit bigger in size, they gravitate to first as they get into their 30s. It's just a natural thing. You don't want guys getting hurt all that much. There aren't that many big dudes that play, that level, for a long time. I guess Machado getting into his 30s right now, still playing great defense out there. One of the best I'd ever seen. Third base. A-Rod's another one that comes to mind, playing really good defense at third later in his career. So the bigger guys, you like a Devers, you want to try to see them protect themselves and just hit, because he's had a bad shoulder. They said that at the start of the season his shoulder was messed up, and it's not surprising. And at the end of the last year, it wasn't. And then they didn't really fix it well enough, and he was kind of weak on the bat late last year, and he's good now. So, what are they saying? Are they saying in Boston that the schedule doesn't line up with having Devers and these 3 young kids, Roman Anthony, that was the top prospect in all of baseball coming into the season, not named Roki Sasaki, who, by the way, it doesn't look like we're going to see Roki Sasaki again this season. They just said that they had to shut him down again. Look, I traded for him in fantasy. I wanted to just, as a shot in the dark, maybe that guy can just come back and be like a shot in the arm for the playoff run. You never know. He still might be, but probably not. You've got 3 guys. Roman Anthony, top prospect. Mayer was the top prospect a couple of years ago, and kind of slid down a little bit. Not exactly consistent hitting lefties right now, so he's platooning while he's up, playing third base while Bregman's out. He'll probably move over the short. They're going to have to figure out what to do with Trevor Story, but I would imagine the story with Story is going to be similar to Devers. They're going to move his ass out. Joba, are they just getting rid of the vets right now?
It's sometimes you get aged out, and I think now when you're starting to bring these, and I think Craig is probably trying to bring a different maybe perspective to the front office and kind of what he's doing with contracts, and how now you're going to have control of these young kids and try to develop, and you're not going to have to pay him unless you pay him early. And so it may be a little bit of that. But that also tells me too, and it makes me think, are you really trying to win right now? Because I'm not saying young energy doesn't bring championships, but when you have a top caliber like that and you get rid of him and you don't really get much of anything back other than basically getting rid of your payroll.
Salary dump.
Yeah, and obviously with Jordan Hicks, it's when he was with the Cardinals, and it's kind of the conversation everybody had about me. It's should have left him there, but he wanted to be a starter. They did that, kind of understand his circumstances. But really, when you're getting rid of a guy of that caliber and you don't really get a lot for it, it makes it feel like it's a salary dump to be like, okay, now we've got these young guys, even though Tristan's hurt, but you still got control of him too. So it's not like you're paying him either. So I think this is weird. And when I talk to a Red Sox guy, which, it's hard to reach out as a Yankee to a Red Sox guy, but if I don't know the answer, I'm going to try and find the right answer. And I messaged some other people too. And it was kind of off the grid because, as Speedy touched on, if it was closer to deadline, you could kind of understand a little bit more of how it makes sense. But now to not get a lot in return and basically just make it look like a salary dump, then it's okay, are you trying to win now or are you trying to rebuild? And we've talked about that before in the rebuilding process. So what are you doing? And I don't honestly know what the hell they're doing, to be honest with you.
We talk about Craig Breslow, Speedy, and former player now in the front office. We were given a lot of congratulations earlier this year, but we keep hearing, the Red Sox don't play very good fundamental baseball. They're not.
This was an issue last year too.
That maybe things aren't all good on the farm, and we see Campbell coming up. He had a good first 3 weeks of the season, and he has struggled the rest of the way. And they were talking about maybe he'll play some first when Devers said no. He's going to stay at second. Mayer, again, they're platooning him. They don't even want him to see lefties right now because Toro's been playing well. He's one of those guys that's a great
Yeah, he was pretty
guy.
good in Seattle the year they made the playoffs, Toro.
Toro, look, he's one of those players that if you had to play him, 500 at bats, you're not going to like what you see. But if you can get 350 of him on one side of the plate, you're probably going to like what you see out of him, right? But then you play him with Mayer, so that's fine. So that's your decision. You still have Trevor Story for now. I guarantee you he's gone, and it's a team that has a good foundation. If they had Devers, maybe they would be a playoff team.
Yeah, I want to bring up something Joba mentioned too, because you're talking about the player relationships with somebody that's a newer general manager. And I want to bring it up in comparison to the 2021 Mets when Jacob deGrom was was he going to get paid? Was he not? And I think that was something that I think was a big focal point right after he got hurt the second time, to where I think that relationship got damaged very quickly after it seemed like it was going well. And I think this is very similar because the Mets at the time weren't the big spending one they are now. That was before they went after Scherzer and Verlander, and obviously now getting Soto. But the Red Sox are in that same boat where they're trying to recreate the identity, is still trying to be the bigger market team at one point, but then they want to be to avoid the reckless spending they used to have, but then at the same time try to be this cute, I'm going to develop organically, and then they go to the other extreme where they just trade Devers. And the term salary dump is supposed to imply something that's you trade either salaries or you trade a prospect just to get rid of a guy. And Devers is not the type of player to be considered a quote unquote salary dump because he's younger. If it's a 37-year-old guy that's eating up a lot of money, yeah, okay, that's considered a salary dump. Obviously the Nationals did it with all their players, trading Rendon, trading Scherzer, trading Trey Turner when their window closed. That's not the same case here with the Red Sox. That's not what you should be considered a salary dump. And if that's the way the front office perceived it, then they just rushed into the process of doing it and didn't go into the methodology of what you could really get for Devers. Now, I told you this texting yesterday, Fish. I always expected the Giants to make a swing like this, so it's not surprising they were a team jumping in on that because they were lacking a big power bat for a while. Even the 21 Giants that won 107 games did not really have that type of power bat to that same level. So it's not surprising they jumped in on this quickly, but the Red Sox, knowing that, could have gotten a bidding war across the National League with enough good teams that need power to get that kind of bidding war where they could have gotten much better value. I like Harrison. I think he still has a lot of room to improve to possibly be a higher end pitcher. But like you were saying, Joba Hicks, you don't really know what you're going to get out of him because especially when you're trained by the Cardinals, they have not been the model organization of developing young players recently. And the other two are okay prospects, not great.
If you're going to get a potential number 3 in your staff with Kyle Harrison, say he develops at the high end, they think he might be a number 2.
I think
it's still a couple of years. It's still years away. It's still years away for him. Hicks, I don't think anyone thinks Hicks is going to be anything at this point. I really don't. And I don't know, that outfield prospects was the fourth top.
He was the first round pick last year, so he's still very raw.
So maybe he'll be good. But again, that's for down the road. To me, when you send a message to they just swept the Yankees. They just swept the Yankees with a guy who's having a historic season and held them to 1 for 12 in the series. And they're like, you know what? Let's blow it up.
Most strikeouts in a series with 9.
Right. He was terrible in the series. They got to him. They were able to solve him for 3 days. And yet, no, let's give up this year. We're a half game out of the wild card. And they'll say they're not giving up. I'm sure they're saying they're not giving up. But how are they better without that bat in the lineup? And again, he was terrible in April. Last I heard, if you're over a 900 OPS, you're a good damn hitter. Yes. And he has 15 homers and 58 RBIs. Now, we went from talking about Craig Breslow. I think we deserve to talk about another former player, and that's Buster Posey. Buster Posey, with this move, he gets rid of some pitchers that are probably prospects that were not as hyped as they should, or overhyped, I would say.
Not only that, there's not a lot of room. They have a lot of good guys.
They have a lot of arms. They don't need it. It's like extra players. They just have to spend the money. And now they get, again, DH in the NL. Who's their first baseman?
That's legend Wilmer Flores.
Yeah, that's not a long-term solution. I'm sure he's having a good year. He's had a couple of good years.
He's actually tied for their team lead in second on their team lead in home runs, only behind Chapman.
Yeah, so clearly Devers is going to help, right? So if this is what you have, and in the long run, this guy now has a long contract, and he's going to give the power, left-handed power. I saw a spray chart of his home run speedy. It's kind of hard for lefties at Fenway, unless they're going oppo.
It's going to be even harder in San Francisco.
Well, they said it would be the exact same amount of home runs if he hit it in San Francisco.
Maybe.
Because they did like the home run chart to see like distance wise.
Yeah, so it would be like exactly the same.
Doubles and he's not going to get any triples, but doubles in that right center in San Francisco is hard though.
Yep, no, you're not wrong, but it's about the same. So it's not like he doesn't have the power to get it out. We know the balls aren't traveling the same way that they did in previous years either. That'll probably change back the other way next season, and watch, he'll have an extra 10 home runs, right? This is a great move by Buster Posey. It's like saying the exact opposite thing to your fan base. Craig Breslow is telling his fan base, not right now. You guys can be middling for another couple of years. We'll get there eventually. And Buster Posey says, screw that. I'm adding one of the best left-handed bats because they're undervaluing him. I don't care if we have to spend money. I want to win. And guess what? Fans love that. Your team, Joba, you tell me what the mentality of that Red Sox clubhouse has to be after this deal, because I can't imagine it being positive, and I bet it's exactly the opposite in that San Francisco clubhouse where they're all jacked up.
I think it's two different dynamics, especially as you said, like if you're a player on that team, like you look at like a Walker Buehler or whatever, and what are we doing? Like, are we trying to win? I understand. Like I said, I understand bringing young talent. I get that, and bring young energy. Like it makes sense to me. But to what capacity are you really like? Okay, now I'm going out and pitching for myself. Yeah, I got a contract and whatever. But like, I hope
Buehler's a contract, not a big one.
Yeah, but it's still a contract. He's not under the arbitration level yet to where like he's getting paid league minimum. So
no.
That's the hard part. I have no idea what that would be to be in that clubhouse. But then on the other side, when you bring in guys like when we bring in Ichiro and don't really give up much, and they're like, all right, we're trying to win again. And so the Giants, and what you have two front office guys that are former players doing the complete opposite. Like one's bringing in something and not giving away everything. And like you bring a guy like that in, it's like, all right, well, here we go. And then on the other side of the fence, you're like, well, what the hell is going on here? Like, and did Craig come in and talk, or did they have a conversation? Did he bring some guys in and be like, hey, this is kind of the direction we're going? That we don't know because we're not in the clubhouse and we don't have those answers. But it's two opposite sides of the spectrum. And it's very, very interesting. And I love it that it's early enough where let's see how it plays out. Let's see what happens on both sides of it to see. Let's not look long term right now. Let's look at it just right for what it is right now for this year. Then we can talk about it as we go down the road. But
the Giants are going to jump start it on it quickly because they know the Padres are also a very aggressive front office, and obviously the Dodgers.
Oh, duh, we've seen him do everything.
Yeah.
And he's awesome because he don't care. He'll pull the trigger on whatever. So
and he knows too that this Giants team they're not going to be able to win the same way that his Giants team won. With obviously they still have the pitching, which is not as good as the World Series core, but like it's still a good pitching. But they're not going to be able to win with those types of just like every hitter is a scrappy hitter type thing. You need some level of power in today's game. You need some level of the extra base hits, guys that can generate all those walks, which is another thing that Devers does very well at his peak, where there's a reason he actually had, I think, at one point during the 2023 season, the lowest chase rate for a guy with that many home runs too, which those are the types of hitters that the Giants have lacked for a while. And like you were saying, Fish, Wilmer Flores, 11 home runs. Helio Ramos, Goodies boy, that he doesn't remember who he was, has 11 home runs, but they don't have many other guys healthy double-digit home runs. Talk about fantasy bust. My biggest one in my league with Josh, Adames. Yikes. His numbers are horrible this year. 624 OPS, 8 home runs, 32 RBIs. And so far, you need a veteran presence to make up for that kind of move, and so far you're getting that with bringing in Devers, which they're sprinkled in a couple good youngsters, but they have depth but not a lot of stardom and not a lot of like who's the scary guy in the lineup, where the Dodgers and the Padres are sprinkled with a bunch of those guys.
Well, I wouldn't give up on Adames, Speedy. I do think
I didn't drop it. I'm just saying it's disappointing.
Well, look, it's a new team. You never know. Sometimes look at what Lindor did that first year. How much he struggled right off the bat with the Mets, and then he found his groove. I think bringing a guy like Devers into this clubhouse, it's going to give him new life. But it's also going to give a guy like Adames new life. I want to hear what our intern Aaron has to say about this. What is your take on this trade? Because this is certainly a one-of-a-kind type of a deal, man.
No, absolutely. Honestly, the only way you could really compare it is to the Luka trade. Now, that was a bigger trade in the sense of like, whoa, that Luka's one of the best stars in the NBA. But you compare it because you're trading your homegrown guy, in the middle of a season where, again, you just swept the Yankees. They're kind of getting off to a good start, but then also other teams are going. He was available. Like why wasn't I knowing this, right? And I heard on the MLB Network that they said if teams called and they asked about Devers, they were willing to listen. So it wasn't that he wasn't available or he was. You just had to ask, and you kind of just start talking, and then stuff came out from there. But then also, why now? You know what? And even going back to the offseason, everyone was saying Boston was going to be this great team, which, look, they haven't lived up to their potential. But it all started when they signed Bregman. Bregman, they needed Bregman offensively, defensively, and both on both sides of the ball. But you already had Devers there. So if you don't sign Bregman, which they kind of did in my eye to make a splash, because they did get Crochet and they did get Bueller. So then you get Bregman, and then you make this whole mess of a problem with your homegrown guy. So there's a lot of confusing things for me when I look at this trade. But then you also look at it from a wide league standpoint. And now the Giants are going, we're here, we're ready to win now. And now the Dodgers are going, oh, well, we have to try to maybe pivot. And there's so many different teams that are involved, even though they're not directly involved with the trade. Like the Yankees, now they're going, hey, we can kind of sit back now, because honestly, this trade makes Boston worse right now.
Is it coincident? We'll talk about it later, but is it a coincidence as soon as we heard this deal went down, within a couple of hours, we hear Shohei Ohtani's pitching the next game for the Dodgers? That NL West, Speedy, I don't know if there's a more competitive division in baseball.
Yep, those three teams. Arizona's not far behind. They're kind of stuck in mediocrity right now, but those three are definitely the best top three grouping this year. Because again, we know the Padres, when healthy, have enough pitching. Their bullpen is still very strong. The Giants' bullpen, I think, is the best in the National League right now. And then the Dodgers are just filled with all the talent. They just have a bunch of pitching injuries. Probably why they had to bring Ohtani to pitch now. Like you were saying, Fish, maybe month ahead of the schedule type thing, but their offense is still, I think, now surpassed the Cubs for the most runs scored in the league, the most home runs. Obviously, Ohtani still having the unbelievable year, but there's a reason the Giants jumped on this earlier, is to not be that kind of, all right, we'll wait on this kind of want to be high spending team and then miss out on it like they were in the Aaron Judge sweepstakes when the Yankees ended up still getting him in the end, like they were with joining the Mets in the Carlos Correa sweepstakes, which thank God they both dodged a bullet on that one. But nevertheless, they still tried, but they haven't been able to get there with their past regime. And now Buster Posey whatever he's doing in that front office is getting players to want to buy into that, at least the team culture perspective. Last year, they just didn't have enough talent on the offensive side. Now they have the talent to be able to make it work with Devers. And who says this is the last one either? Devers is, again, him and Logan Webb, they're kind of the only big contracts that they have right now. It's not, and Adames looks bad because he hasn't played well, but it's not like an egregious contract.
I mean, I remember as a so like I've playing fantasy baseball, guys, since I was 11 years old on an AL only ESPN. You had to pay $29.95 for it, and it was very simplistic stats. There's two guys that I ever watched that I watched like their first at bats, and I just was obsessed with watching these guys play. I never saw young players have at bats like that. And the first guy I'm talking about is Mike Trout. When Mike Trout came up, I had never seen anyone with that kind of power, and I made sure in the league where you were allowed one, we called it a bonus pick, one waiver pick all season, I went and got Trout. And the year that I won, I took Buster Posey because I just watched Buster Posey play. Guys, this is a legend, and this might be the Jerry West of baseball coming forwards because the first big move he makes, in my opinion, is a genius move. I mean, look at this highlight. Do you remember the type of crap that he used to pull when he was catching? I mean, he came up to the league as one of the best game callers already.
But you also know too, you're something special when you get these guys. They created a Buster Posey rule so you couldn't run over a catcher anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, if that didn't happen to him, I think his career's a bunch of years longer. He doesn't have to play first base the last bunch of years of his career. He's still a Hall of Famer. It's just we kind of got robbed of some of that peak. Now, obviously, that happens to catchers. That's part of the position. I guess now it's not the Buster Posey rule. But look, I mean, everyone knows the story of Pete Rose running over the catcher, and the guy was never the same in the All-Star game, right? So it's probably something to take out of baseball.
One of my favorite ones though is AJ Brzezinski and Michael Barrett.
Ooh, tell me a little bit more about it. I don't remember it too well.
They get into it and they push each other and do whatever, and then all hell breaks loose. There's been some good ones, but I love that part of the game, and that there are certain parts of the game that we've talked about where I wish they wouldn't have taken away some of these things because it's like taking a guy out at second. I mean, we saw it in the College World Series how a game ended, and it was interference. And I'm like, interference as long as you touch the bag, but sometimes they didn't even touch the bag, and they're just trying to take your legs out so you don't get a double play. Yeah. And there are certain parts of the game now that have been taken away, and Buster Posey is one of those guys that change it. Yeah, you slide in hard, take him out as a half slide, half hit him, and he blows his ACL out. And now you change the entire rules for that reason. I just it's weird to me because I still want to see dudes get run over. Like, I love that part of it.
You know, I think it's like the hockey fight. It's like the hockey fight. Like it's the only thing that's truly left from like the old school days of sports is they're still going to settle it with a fight. I think everything else that was kind of like schoolyard rules has been taken out of all of our favorite sports. You just mentioned it. No, you can't run over the catcher. Can't slide hard in the second. I mean, you can slide hard in the second, but you have to hit exactly
right on the bag.
You've got to be perfect, right? But of course, that's like not great for the second baseman coming over and his foot. You know, like so. There's a bunch of stuff that there's a reason why they did it in the first place like that. That I think people forget that there's all those things. But guys, this Red Sox trade, as a Yankee fan, they just blew the doors off of us this weekend, and they decided to tank their team. Thank you very much. I'll enjoy your fans being miserable as a Yankee fan. I guess it's like we lost every game, but we sort of won, in a way. But they're not our main competition. I can't believe they're punting on the playoffs, though. It feels like they're punting on the playoffs. If I was on their clubhouse, that's what I would say, and I would want answers. Like, are you serious, Kyle Harrison?
Where do you go with the like? If you're that guy, you have very few guys in that clubhouse that can actually like what are we doing? Like what direction are we going in? Like what did I sign up for?
A team that's getting young all at once, apparently.
I just hope it's not an ego thing with Breslow. Like, we don't know how he is as a general manager. He wants to put his stamp on it. Maybe he's right. Maybe this will work. And it's just a very strange timed thing to do. And you can't tell me that that's the best offer you thought you were going to get for Devers. I just don't get it. It's not that good of an offer. If you really thought he's that much of a toxic asset that you had to dump him, how does he have a 900 OPS with 15 homers and 58 RBIs by the middle of June? That means he's on pace for over 100 RBIs, and he was terrible in April.
The only thing I can think of that probably where they rally around the younger player, like not being there recently, but this was more of just the off-field incident related. It's not him getting traded. Was the Padres in 22 with all the stuff with Tatis with the motorcycle accident and then the random drugs he got caught for, and they rallied around it. They went to the NLCS as a 5 seed, but again, besides that wasn't a trade circumstance. That wasn't a front office saying, all right, we're going to throw you away. There were trade rumors after that, but that's the only thing I could think of. So that's best case scenario for the Red Sox, you would hope, but it's still a long shot.
Let's hope for the worst case scenario for those Red Sox. Guys, the NBA Finals are back tonight. In about 10 minutes, we'll have tip-off in Game 5 in Oklahoma City. It is a tied series at 2. The Thunder won Game 4 of the NBA Finals versus the Pacers, 111-104, tying the series at 2. The Thunder came back from a 10-point deficit in the third quarter, down 86-76, and came back all the way to win. The Thunder outscored the Pacers 35-18 since late in the third. The Pacers hit 0 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Thunder just made 3 3-pointers in the entire game, the lowest total for any team in a playoff win in the last 10 years since the Nuggets in 2019. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 35 points. 15 of those points came in the last 4 minutes and 38 seconds of the game, the most in NBA history in an NBA Finals game. Shai hit 6 free throws down the stretch in the final 44 seconds. Benedict Mathurin missed 3 out of 4 free throws that could have made it a one-possession game. The Thunder are now 22-12 in games where they trailed by double digits, the best record since the 97-98 Bulls. Wow. This series is... I just didn't want to give the Pacers credit. I really couldn't. I thought most of the games would go the way this game went. The Pacers run out to leads because they have streaky teams, and then they get cold because they run this 7 seconds or less offense that Mike D'Antoni wished he could have run as fast as they run. But they're going up against a team that has the MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is deadly from inside. If you foul this guy, he's going to hit foul shots at the end of the game. He hit 6 of them. And we have some highlights, and we'll show them to you in a little bit. But they're not going to show you the last minute of the game because it was just foul shot, back and forth, foul shot, back and forth. After Shai made sure that he took over and scored a bunch of buckets in a row to get them the lead. And then he wouldn't allow them to come back. Here we have some of it. And guess what? It's all mid-range. It defies the analytics, Speedy. Yes, it defies the analytics. Well, there's a couple of threes. But he's a great player. He just dices guys up. Why aren't they sending 2 guys at him? I'll tell you why. Because he'll find the open man. They can't. He does it very differently than Brunson. Brunson kind of comes off the angles a little bit more than Shai. Shai's willing to do this with just his handle. And that's what's scary. He can go either direction, straight up on you at any point in time. He's longer than Brunson, so he can get his shot over more guys, even though Brunson always seems to get it off with his turnarounds. I just love watching this guy play. I don't get to see a lot of them, kind of out west. I don't stay up late enough to see all of it. I'm a teacher. Look, guys, let's face it. I wake up early. It's tough. I'll watch the highlights. I watch most of the games that start at 7. It's just or 8 o'clock, for this time of the year. It's real important that you give the proper respect. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my God, I still think Jokic probably should have deserved MVP. I just think Jokic is a one of one, and sometimes you just get tired of giving the same guy the MVP. But he's doing stuff as a 2-guard that we haven't seen since guys like Kobe, since guys like Jordan. I'm not calling him Kobe or Jordan, but the way he's playing, very reminiscent, Speedy.
Yeah, again, it's something that it's a well-rounded game that he has. Like you said, he defies the logic with not having to force threes, not having to rely on threes like you see other point guards do. And again, the mid-range game, I always said it's fine if it's open. Like, obviously you don't want to force shots. You're not going to play iso ball all the time. But if the shot's open, the shot is open, you take it. And the Thunder have enough size to be able to compensate that with either offensive rebounding or you try to make him guard it, and then you could get more inside looks, or you might get more one-on-one matchups where he is able to drive to the hoop, or he is able to drive to get free throws. And that's the type of guy that he is. And the Thunder have a lot of players like that. They don't have one-way type of players that are just specialty shooters or just specialty inside guys. You got a balanced big man with Jalen Williams, who, again, can be a three-point shooter, kind of streaky. But again, OKC didn't have to rely on that because they only shot 16 threes. They only made 3 of them. That wasn't the game plan, obviously. But they have enough guys where they can play different styles with everybody all at once. And it was just a matter of time where their offensive depth wasn't the same kind of liability like you saw in Game 3, because the Pacers in Game 3 outscored the Thunder wings and guards off the bench drastically. And that was the big difference in Game 3 when the Pacers were able to run away with it in the fourth quarter. The Pacers looked like they were doing that again, and then the Thunder got some of those guys to finally elevate their games off the bench and didn't let them drastically have that type of rotation advantage that they claim to have in game number 3. And they have enough type of defenders to play versatile type defense as well. There's, like we were talking about in the preview, there's no defensive liability on the OKC Thunder whatsoever. And they finally played some matchups that worked against being able to shut down Siakam at certain points in that game. Halliburton was good, but not amazing. And that's the type of number one type hyper efficient defense we've seen OKC play. They were talking about, I don't know which writers it was, but OKC, if they win this title, like one of the best defenses ever for a championship team. And there's parts of this postseason where they haven't played like it. Now, granted, I think most of their duds have been more on offense, but it's still sometimes where the Pacers, who are not this like overly talented team, yes, Keith, not this overly talented team, have exposed in certain instances because of coaching. And now you're finally seeing that OKC Thunder defense that you're expecting to see late in that game, late in the fourth quarter, when they only allowed 18 points.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like a lot of things. But the one thing that I've seen from Shea is his ability to get off the perimeter and get mid-range shots and be able to finish those. And that's the one thing, like when you see a championship team and you see a young guy, and we've obviously seen a lot of young kids going to try and win a championship for the first time, right? And we've talked about that.
Well, they're the fourth youngest team ever to make it this far. And the Pacers are one of them, too. I think they're 8th all time, something like that.
But you see how he's able to get into the lane and not only create a shot, but also be able to do other things with the basketball. And it's fun to see. And I love the fact that we're at 2-2 right now with both teams, because there are defensive aspects on both sides, as you said, from the wing play and how they can extend the court, Speedy. But seeing these two guys and do these things, it's been really, really fun to see. And I'm excited for the rest of this series to kind of see which of these stars step up and see what they do. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
You know what's fun? It's realizing that my beloved Knicks, they weren't so bad stopping Pascal Siakam, because no one's stopping him. I think we need to give him a little bit of credit. He's got 20 points in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had 5 steals. Yeah, so listen to this line from Siakam. He had +7 in a game that they lost by 7. So keep that in mind. 8 boards, 5 assists, 5 steals, and a block. He's doing that from the power forward position against being guarded by either Chet, or maybe they switch Hardenstein onto him every once in a while. That's 2 pretty good defensive players, and he's still doing that. I mean, that guy, he gave the Knicks everything they could have. He won 2 games by himself in that series, in my opinion, and they did give him the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Is it going to be enough? Well, not if Oklahoma City has a game like they did in Game 4. Listen to these free throw numbers, Speedy. Chet, 6 of 6 from the line. Jalen Williams, 11 of 11 from the line. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 10 of 10 from the line. This is all in the same game.
Hey, Jalen Williams is the key to that, too.
27 points, 7 boards, 3 assists for Jalen Williams.
Okay, your boy Alex Caruso.
And that's who I wanted to get to as well. Caruso, not as elite of a shooter. He also put up 20 points, 7 of 9 from the field, hit 1 of 2 threes, 5 of 7 from the line. I mean, the amount of they were 34 of 38 from the free throw line, shooting 89.5%. It's hard to beat a team that does that, especially if you're behind at the end of a game. This team has just been able to pull away from other teams all year. All year. You look back all year, why they won so much. A lot of it has to do with just simple things like free throw shooting and just doing what you're supposed to do. Make all your layups. We don't see a ton of missed easy bunnies by this team. This is what you want. Not like when you watch, I mean, I don't want to give too much shade to Angel Reese, but we know she likes to miss layups. Even though she did just have a triple-double.
Java's
so
new
for her.
Java's new shirt.
Do you have an Angel Reese shirt, Java?
I will never have an Angel Reese shirt.
No, what did you say? You bought the shirt that mocked her or whatever it was?
Oh no, I got the me bounce. I got that one.
The me bounds. Yeah. Do you see that video, Speedy, of her on TikTok saying, like, I don't know who just said that, but I'll take all the me bounds, we bounds, she bounds, whatever. Give me all the bounds. Like, okay. That's an interesting way to. I don't like how thin her skin is with some of this stuff. She probably shouldn't be doing it. But again, kids these days, 22 years old, 23, it's all about being an influencer. We saw that with Shador Sanders. Maybe she's kind of like that too a little bit. Getting away from her, talk about her rival for a second. Caitlin Clark and Tyrese Halliburton seem to be best buddies during all this. And there's been some pretty hilarious memes as well, calling, they nickname him the Halliban. And there's a bunch of like the Caitlin Clark and Tyrese Halliburton dressed up like Osama bin Laden or something like that. It was just ridiculous stuff that people are doing. Probably Knicks fans that dislike them. I don't know if I dislike Caitlin Clark. I do not like that she is friends with Tyrese Halliburton, who, in my opinion, is now the enemy of all Knicks fans until further notice. I guess Trae Young's still up there. Speedy, I go back and forth. I feel like Trae Young still is above him.
I think Halliburton is a 2-year versus a 1-year sample, though.
I know, but the Trae Young stuff was so extreme. I don't know. They both went on WWE to taunt the Knicks. Both of them did. So they got that in common. But the Halliban is, Jake's right. That's an excellent nickname, the Halliban. But you know what? I wanted to talk about this. I put it in our read at the beginning. Halliburton was named vote by the players the most overrated player in all of basketball. Yeah, I would argue Trae Young's the most overrated player in all of basketball.
I had that title in
Did
baseball.
You? Yep. Like in a MLBPA anonymous vote.
Yep.
But so what do you think? So this obviously, I don't think anyone's gonna be saying that about Halliburton anymore. But how did obviously this is a motivator. Right, Jabba?
I mean, yes and no. Like, this was done, like, and you understand how or why it is. It's because you get some guys, and they don't do everybody, honestly. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, okay, go ahead and tell me. But you know what? We're in the same damn league. So, obviously, I'm not that overrated. So, I've earned my stripes to get here, right? And so I can't say that it's you guys see it a lot closer than I do, being there with them as Knicks fans in that, and obviously me being tied to New York and understanding it. But it's one of those things where I don't want billboard material for people. I don't. Because they just want to go shove it up your ass and be like, you know what? Oh, okay, I'm overrated. Boom. I just beat you. Sorry.
Yeah.
So why are you giving it to them?
Enough of it to not only the Knicks fans, there's a lot of Cavs fans that are thinking the same way already with Halliburton. I'm sure there's plenty of other, like, more, I guess, Midwest rivalry type thing throughout the regular season that would have had that kind of thing with Halliburton too. It's just the way his demeanor is too. And I don't know if that contributed to when you got the voting at the time, Chaba, when the NLBPA was.
I found out in Oakland is where I found out.
Jabba, I'm pretty sure.
Do you know the reasons like why they would think that way though? Like,
well, yeah, because nobody had ever done what I'd done in New York, and yeah, I had a great year, decent year, not a great year, and so that's like kind of when it came out, and I was like, That's fine. I was like, as Pedro said, they don't talk about nobodies. So let's be real about it. And so if we're doing it in that context, like, tell me I'm overrated. I don't care. My paycheck goes through, and you're still watching me and you're talking about me. So what do you want me to do?
And I think it's a little, again, the NBA and MLB probably a little different with, especially like you're saying, the traditions, especially being a Yankee too, compared to like the NBA teams where you kind of want those extra flash and you want the extra headlines on you, as our friend Errol says all the time, the LJA, LeBron James Association, that wants to create off-season drama for no reason. And obviously there is that in baseball too. I'm not saying there isn't that, but I think it's especially like a kind of a mainstay now in the NBA. And when you have younger guys that are trying to be those types of instigators too, because I mentioned it too when we were talking about Anthony Edwards, like there's not a lot of those younger players that are as much of the LeBron types as there are in with his generation. And maybe Halliburton is starting to get to that kind of extent. I don't think he actually brings it on himself like as much, where he's saying all these like super egregious things like you're seeing Anthony Edwards do sometimes. But besides like I would say Joel Embiid, like there's not really as much like the last 10 years worth of these NBA superstars of guys that are doing that as much as what Halliburton is doing. But again, there's a difference where Halliburton's actually putting it up and it's fueling the fire. And what you've seen OKC do is not have any guys like talking back at him and trying to fire him up. And obviously he earned it with the buzzer beater in game one, playing as well as he did, but it's still going to be something that OKC is taking into account of we're going to make him stay humble type thing and not give him the extra firing up, especially now with game 5 tonight at home where OKC doesn't lose very often.
So the thing that I always said is, bench doesn't travel all that well. You usually have your great performances from your bench players like Mathurin, like we saw in game 3 when he put up 27 points in 22 minutes, one of the all-time heat checks of anyone. And, that he turned the tide in that game, and that's why it's 2-2. But take a look at what he did in game 4. He had 8 points, right? He had a crucial handful of missed foul shots because they knew he wasn't ready for the moment. So they fouled him. Doesn't matter what his percentage is during the season. When it comes to this time of the year, and Joba, an out in the 9th inning during May is not the same as an out in the 9th inning during October.
Especially
it's a
for
big
relievers.
difference, right? It's a big, big difference. And a foul shot at this point of the year. I mean, we know it ruined, remember Nick Anderson ruined his whole career. Like that's a true story. I mean, who knows the new Nick Anderson story? We're going to talk about the Magic later tonight.
Wasn't it a front end of a 1-and-1, right?
And he missed all his shot. I think it was 3 foul shots, wasn't it, Speedy?
I think so.
It was a 3-pointer, and he missed all 3, and then he missed another one, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think it was the front end of the 1-and-1 after he got fouled.
Well, it wouldn't have been 1-and-1 because it's pro, so there wouldn't have been a 1-and-1. So it was like he hit a bucket. It was an and one that he missed,
and one. Yep,
and then he missed 3 straight foul shots, and the guy he got the yips and never was able to play again at that level. Like he went from being an all-star guard.
I don't like that word. We don't ever want to hear that word ever. It hurts. It hurts.
Well,
because it happened.
It happened to Chuck Knobloch famously at Yankee Stadium.
It happened. It's happened to more people than you think. Think about Rick Ankiel.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
He could throw a ball from 380 feet, but he couldn't throw 60 feet 6 inches. Another one that a lot of people don't know is Jared Saltalamacchia. And he couldn't throw it back to the pitcher. If we're all baseball fans in Major League, Rube Baker, maybe you should get out the Victoria's Secret catalog and learn that. And another one is Gerald Laird. If you ever watched Gerald Laird, he had to throw off of his opposite foot.
Really?
And he always double pumped. If you go watch Gerald Laird, and I played with his brother, and if you ever go watch him, he always threw off of his left foot, didn't throw off of his right foot because he's right-handed, so you would throw off your right foot, right?
That's wild.
So he would always, and if it was a foul ball or anything, he was fine. But if he was just receiving the ball and then went to throw, it would be his left knee up, and then it would be like pump, and then he would throw. It was crazy. It happens to a lot of people. That's why we don't like to hear the word.
It's a bad one. I mean, usually it's a golf term, right? Like a general term. It originally originates in golf, where someone just they can't hit it straight for some reason. You know, like they're just completely out of it, and it probably happens to a lot of golfers. We've seen it happen to guys throwing the first base. We've seen it happen to guys throwing, I guess, to home as well as throwing back to the pitcher. Foul shot, Nick Anderson. We have an equivalent in hockey or football, Speedy, that you could think of.
I imagine a lot of kickers. I guess
Kickers.
Yeah.
Well, Vanderjagt comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
And who was it? Gary Anderson. He was like perfect all year, and then
all
they're in the playoffs, and they misses it in the playoffs to lose.
Right, which would have given him a 10-point lead, which would have sealed the deal in that.
Cody Parkey. Yeah. Yep. A whole bunch of people that have
had but Cody Parkey wasn't a great kicker, though. Like, Anderson was a great kicker. Like, Cody Parkey was probably an average kicker. Blair Walsh is probably the bigger modern equivalent.
I've got one for you, Speedy.
Badly. What?
Speedy, this was one of the worst games I ever watched in football history. It was the playoff game between the Giants and the 49ers, the Trey Junkin game, when he couldn't snap the ball back to the kicker. Remember that? You were probably really young. I think this was like
I don't think I can. Yeah, I think that was a little before my time.
So I think it was the year after we went to the Super Bowl. We were playing the 49ers, and it was a field goal. It was either to tie or to win. And all game, the snaps weren't getting back to the placeholder. And again, he just rolled another one. Should have been a pass interference on that play. I think they tackled Shockey or something like that in the end zone, or something ridiculous like that. But it was absolutely terrible. So, it was...
No, we had Zach Diassi to stabilize it after that.
Well, look, game 5 started right now. So, let's just give everyone our picks, and then we're going to get... before we get into our guest, he's not here yet, I don't believe.
Yeah, he's in.
He's in. Perfect. So, we're going to get into Golf Clap of the Day in a second. But let's just give everyone our picks. I think the Thunder are going to win this in 6, but then again, I've said the Thunder were going to win it in 5. I thought that they were going to be able to do this, a little bit more handily. I think at this point in the series, I like what I see out of the Thunder. I think they may have solved this puzzle. If they shoot as well as they did last game, I don't see any reason why they don't win in 6. What do you got, Speedy?
Yeah, I had Thunder in 6 initially. Again, I was surprised they lost game 1. I was thinking it was going to be kind of more of a pattern, but again, we've seen it still be that way to an extent, kind of those closer middle scoring games. I think this one's probably a little lower scoring. We've seen a slower pace to start, but I think OKC still takes it the next 2.
And Joba.
I'm going to go Thunder in 7.
Thunder in 7. So we're all kind of doubting the Pacers and the Halaban over there. Hopefully...
The Halaban.
The Halaban.
I love it.
It's not a bad nickname. All right. Well, we got someone else to talk about coming up right now, and I don't see it in the yard, so let me put it up. I don't think the guys figured it out. Our interns are doing my job as executive producer today. So let's get our next segment up and ready. Oh, no, you guys got it. Excellent. Ready? Put it up for the golf clap.
This deserves a golf clap.
No doubt. Golf clap. Golf clap.
Okay, guys. Today's golf clap of the day goes to Yankees designated hitter, returning hero, Giancarlo Stanton, activated from the IL on Monday to make his season debut tonight, giving the Yankees yet another big power hitter. Again, he missed the first 70 games this year with tendon injuries in both elbows. I've yet to hear how that happened. At some point, maybe we'll find out that story. Joba, maybe you'll have some inside information. We've been perplexed by this injury all year.
Never heard of it, so I don't know.
Was it like bilateral elbow weakness or something ridiculous like that? But he couldn't swing the bat. The elbows were bad. He had, but again, remember in the postseason, he had 7 home runs in 14 games. He's batting 5th tonight. He's 35 years old. Look, he's a DH. I don't think they're going to run him out in the outfield anymore. But the Yankees have a whole bunch of options on DH. They got somewhere to play Ben Rice. They're not going to play him too much at first because you got Goldie. You're not going to play him too much at DH because now you got Giancarlo. Jason Dominguez doesn't play the field every day. He's not a great outfielder, so they want to give him some DH at-bats. Grisham, is he going to lose at-bats because of this? I think probably. But again, can we get Giancarlo up to speed? Because we know that all that matters is the postseason. And when he's healthy in the postseason and he's got that timing, because let's face it, if you've ever rooted for Giancarlo Stanton, it's a very tough guy to root for when you're watching him go and he's in a slump. It looks like he's swinging a toothpick and like has no chance of hitting the ball. And then he seems like he can't miss it. And he doesn't look like a normal swing. There's not too many guys that swing a bat that look like, I guess he's holding some kind of like ninja baton or something, because it's so small and he's so strong. He just swings it so hard, and we know he's got one of the top exit velocities in all of baseball. The Yankees can use his bat back. He's back tonight. So excited to see what happens. Now just think of all of the different protection we have. Judge hasn't had Stanton hitting behind him all season. Now he does. He's hitting fifth. Judge, I think, is hitting third. Who do they have fourth? I know Rice is hitting second, but regardless of who it is, that lineup gets a lot better. I think they have Volpe hitting eighth tonight or seventh, and then Wells eighth and DJ ninth. If that's the bottom third of your lineup, we're pretty good. The golf clap of the day. Boys, let's give it up to the Yankees and Giancarlo Stanton. Clap it up, golf clap. A golf clap. After these messages, we're going to get into our interview with our first guest tonight. But before that, Sports Minute with the scoop. It's Tommy Poops.
This is the Joba The Mouth Sports Minute.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back to bring you guys a Sports Minute. It has been time since I brought you guys a Sports Minute, but I am Tommy Scoops here. Here I am finally on camera. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a minute, but like I said, the College World Series has actually gone underway. We have started some elimination games, and earlier today it was actually just announced or just concluded that Arkansas junior pitcher Gage Wood actually threw a no-hitter in his elimination matchup versus Murray State. Wood, who was actually electric for the Razorback, threw a career-high 19 strikeouts on 119 pitches on the mound. Now, to complete the third ever no-hitter game in College World Series history and the most strikeouts in a 9-game inning in the College World Series. Wood, who also was just short of a perfect game after accidentally hitting a player at bat late in the game, but completed his first ever full game with a no-hitter to cap it off. The Razorbacks will now be awaiting the winner of the LSU versus UCLA game, which is currently ongoing right now. Going over into the NFL right now, into the NFL field, Myles Garrett actually commented on Dallas Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons' situation, saying that he is worth every single penny. Now, after Garrett secured himself a 4-year, $160 million contract this offseason, Garrett actually believes that Parsons is due, saying, I think he deserves what he earned. He is 100% committed to his craft. And Parsons, who is currently playing on his 5th-year option, earning $24 million, may or may not get his contract that he so deserves with the Cowboys. We shall see what Jerry Jones decides within the coming weeks. And to cap it off with some more, I guess, NFL news, and former NFL star wide receiver Antonio Brown actually just came out saying that he blames the media for his warrant that is currently ongoing for his attempted murder charge. Now, following an incident last month at a boxing event, where police were called for shots being fired, a video shows Brown in an altercation, even apparently taking a security guard's gun before shots were heard. Brown, who previously claimed on social media that he was in fear for his life after he was trying to get jumped for the jewelry that he had, Brown took to social media to say, how the F you go from being victimized onto attempted murder charges? You see, they control the media. Well, that's Antonio Brown in a nutshell right there. But as promised, as always, we have some scores for you guys. As once mentioned again, the NBA Finals Game 5 is currently underway, with the Pacers already off to a 7-4 lead against the Oklahoma City Thunder. With that also being said, over in the MLB, the Angels and Yankees are currently at the top of the 7th with 0 runs on the board. At the bottom of the 7th, the Phillies have a 3-1 lead over the Marlins, while the Nationals have a 4-3 lead over the Rockies, with the Rays having a 5-1 lead over the Orioles. A couple of games expected to also start later tonight. We got the Red Sox and the Mariners, with the Astros and the Athletics, with the Padres also taking on the Dodgers later today. And also, as mentioned, with the College World Series and the ongoing game, which is actually currently in a rain delay, it appears to be, at the top of the 4th inning, the LSU Tigers currently have a 5-3 lead over the UCLA Bruins at, like I said, the top of the 4th. We shall see if that game is currently or ever going to go underway again. We shall see. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys are checking out all our social medias at Joba in the Mouth on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above, and as well as our YouTube, also at Joba in the Mouth. And make sure you are downloading and listening to us on Spotify, which is now in video, and also our Apple Podcasts, which is also at Joba in the Mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time that I have for you guys right now. I am going to kick it back to the boys for the continuation of the Fishcast on Joba and the Mouth.
Any questions?
What is this? We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, this is the Fishcast. Tommy, thanks for giving us a shout out there in the Sports Minute. Yep, it is me, Aaron Fishman, our executive producer, filling in for Errol Marks tonight. Errol is on vacation on a cruise. Again, doesn't like deep water, and he doesn't like drinking, yet he's on a cruise. Hopefully he's having a great time. Before we go any further tonight, we are so excited to not only have our guest, but also have a sponsor for our guest. Yes, it is the one, the only, the Ice Shaker. Yes, Joba in the Mouth is brought to you by Ice Shaker. Go to iceshaker.com and shop their officially licensed collections from Star Wars to Marvel and so much more. You think of a logo for your ice shaker? They probably can get it done. Joba in the Mouth ice shakers to, here we go, here's the one, the Bape Your Heart's Desire. Contact Ice Shaker and let them know what you want. Enjoy free shipping when you spend $50 or more. Go to iceshaker.com to check out all their great products and deals. Well, there it is. There's the Ice Shaker.
There it was. And Fish, we just gave away. So we are at Addie's in Omaha for the College World Series at 101 North 10th Street. And we just drew for our giveaway for our Ice Shaker and everything. And Bentley won it. And he is excited, and he is right here.
And congratulations.
Yeah, so he's super excited, and he made a bet, and he was like, okay, if I win, now he has to have a Joba in the Mouth ice shaker. So we're going to have to get one of those too.
All right, well, Bentley, you're next. The only thing you got to do, Bentley, is tell everyone else about the show, Joba in the Mouth, airing Monday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, live everywhere that's streaming, and the next day on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and video. Well, guess what? We have a special guest on right now. Here he is, the man himself, now joining us on Joba in the Mouth, U.S. Army veteran, Associate Vice President for Development of Tunnel to Towers Foundation, owner and operator of Upstage Strategies, the public affairs professional himself, Mr. Frank Luna. Clap it up.
Damn,
Frank.
bro.
Welcome, Frank. How we doing tonight?
Good, man. I don't know if I appreciate that intro more or how many pictures of myself are on the screen. So I that was well done, bro. Well done.
Hey, I appreciate the shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
The shirt is fire.
I appreciate that, Joba. This podcast can get no better because Joba Chamberlain said he liked my shirt. So 20-year-old me is just like, what in the hell is going on right now? So we're here for it, baby. We're here for it.
Now the real question, have you ever seen in your time knowing Nathan, him wearing a shirt like that?
I don't know, man. I thought Nathan was punking me. So Nathan hits me up like, yo, you want to go on Joba Chamberlain's podcast? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, who would say no to that? And I thought he was punking me. So I don't know if I'm more surprised that I'm on this podcast or that Nathan has never worn a shirt like this that I've ever seen. So
Nathan wears some interesting outfits.
First of all, Nathan is awful in coordinating. We love him, and he's great to us, and we love him near and dear to our hearts. But his fits are terrible.
Kind of legendary in a way.
Legendary-esque, yeah.
You know, there's one that we show a lot.
That's his.
Is he wearing this blue blazer?
He's got the Blazers. Yo, he's got the Blazers, man. Nathan's got the Blazer game on fire.
Well, listen, I think we could get back to Nathan. Maybe we'll even invite him on near the end of the interview. But I got some questions for you. We want to hear about stuff. You have an interesting life, Frank. You're in Jersey. You down by the shore in Jersey?
Yeah, down by the Jersey Shore, about an hour, 20 minutes from New York City. Yeah, I grew up at the beach. It's tough for me to leave there. You know, it's
everyone loves the Jersey Shore.
Oh,
The Long Island guys, Speedy, Errol, those Long Island guys, they only swear by their beaches. I live in Rockland County. I'm right on the Mawa border.
All right.
So I go down hour 20,
down the
hour
Parkway,
30.
yeah.
Go down the Parkway. I'm a Jersey Shore guy myself. Well, why don't you tell these Long Islanders that are fans of our show why the Jersey Shore, we'll start there, why the Jersey Shore is superior than these beaches they have in Long Island.
Dude, you know what? I think I only went to Long Island like once, so I can't say why theirs are less superior. I can say that the thing I like about the Jersey Shore is you can go anywhere and find different stuff to do. You know, one of my side hustles that I just can't give up. My lady and I both bartend at the Stone Pony. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that spot.
Of course.
There you go, Bachaba. I bet that ain't as stiff as the one I'd make you.
Hey, look, we are absolutely willing to go on location to do.
You can go to American Whiskey, and I guarantee I'll make them stiffer than you do.
There you go. All right. I don't doubt that. Yeah, man. So the Stone Pony, I love the live music venue. My chick and I both bartend there. The summer stage, which is like 30 nights of summer. It's such a good time. You know, it might sound crazy to have a side hustle like that when you're, 41-year-old guy with a full-time gig. And, my chick is also a nurse, but bro, it's so much fun. It just being out at the beach, live music, 5,000 people. Most people are never in bad moods when they're at concerts. There you go, Joba. Let's go.
I mean, you see the championship ring. Like a lot of things stop. We went as a show down to the Super Bowl, and I got to see a couple of giant Super Bowl rings, and I got to put on the 07 and the 11 ring. I don't know which one was better. I think I like the 07 ring better just because they beat the undefeated Patriots that year, the most famous, in my opinion, upset of the Super Bowl that I remember watching. But a ring is a ring, man. Like those things are awesome. Those things.
Well, especially, awesome. I mean, not to get too down into it, but I mean that 09 team, man, that was wild to watch. I was like 25, 26 that season. So that's when I was like right field bleachers, insane out of my brain every night, anytime I could get in the stadium. When Bald Vinny was the bleacher creature, not whoever the new guy is, who's a nice enough guy, but nobody beats Bald Vinny. I mean, the OG of it all. Like if you didn't get into a near scuffle anytime you were in the right field bleachers back in those days, man, you left covered in beer and it was never your own.
my friend, it's funny. My friend actually went to a road game when the Yankees played the Phillies in the World Series. He said the Philly fans actually like dumped a bunch of soda on him, like from the row behind him at one of the games he was at.
Oh yeah.
Tell everything you need to know about the Philly fans, which is not surprising. By the way, before I get to my question, I will salute you for your service as well. I know you're an Army guy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Salute. Now shifting to the biggest news of the weekend, and that was the Rafael Devers trade. Or were you shocked? Obviously, the Yankees got swept initially. Were you shocked the Red Sox did that after that?
I was. I mean, you saw a lot of the turmoil going on there with the leadership in Devers. I mean, I don't, just as a team guy, I don't know how much I would have appreciated some of his approach to it. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's the face of that franchise in a lot of ways and has been for a while. I mean, he was the last remaining guy of the World Series team. I mean, I was surprised because he's a ball player. I mean, that guy could hit. I don't know. I'd be interested, Job, in your take. I didn't hear if you guys were talking about it before. Like, when a guy's saying the stuff he's saying, won't switch positions, I mean, does that cause a headache in the clubhouse, or is it just his approach with leadership is what I don't know. I mean, that's
the team was all very young at once. They brought up 3 kids this year, 3 rookies all at once, which I guess was unconventional. But it seemed like the position thing was the main thing. Which in today's game, where it's so position versatile, it seems surprising. Like, you have guys that could play both corner outfield spots and first base, like somebody like Bellinger, like, can play all those and be fine with it. And even infielders, they play second, they'll play left field, they'll play third. Like, it's just kind of weird in today's game that he would be that fussy, I guess.
You just hear sacrifice for the team, right? Like, you grew up playing sports. You know, I'm sure in the Army, you know, it's about the squad. It's about us together. It's not about any one person. And when someone's like, no, I'm not going to do that, it's just so strange. I mean, they did pay the guy a lot of money. I guess he felt entitled to say that, right? They're like, well, you just gave me that contract. The contract was that I was going to play third base. So now maybe not. It's just, I mean, when you're making over $250 million, does it really matter if you're playing on the left side or the right side of the diamond? It's guaranteed money, isn't it, Joba?
It is, but also at the same time, you got to understand, and I think Frank can understand this too. It's like, yeah, we have our job, but sometimes we got to do other shit.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes we have to step up and, like, you know what? Let me do something else where I don't want to do it. And that's a difference between good and great. Where men step up in certain places and certain decisions where you understand it's like, let me make a sacrifice. Frank, you made the greatest sacrifice for us to be able to let us do what we do. And that is one of the greatest things ever. Because I'd never had the balls enough to do what you did. I was able to throw a baseball, great. That don't mean a lot. But also, too, when it comes down to what we're talking about, is like, put yourself out of the money side. Let's win.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we want to win. Don't give a damn what it is. I don't like losing. I don't care if I'm playing Uno with my son or what I'm doing. I don't like to lose. So if I have to sacrifice something, then that's what it is. So, Frank, when you obviously being a Yankees fan, and, you know, you're only a couple years older than me. More gray than me, though. So
I know, dog. I know.
I'm proud of myself.
Keep it. Yo, but you got to keep growing it.
My dad was never gray, so, like, I think I got a little bit of that. But my dad couldn't grow a beard either, so. But he was also 100% Native American, so that didn't help either. But when you make those sacrifices in, like, certain things, like, is there a conversation? Because, like, what we've talked about today is, like, do you have that? Or when it happens, do you just react to it?
I mean, look, man, I think just in anything in life, whether it's the military, professional sports, I mean, Joba, you're a parent. So, and fellas, I don't know if you guys are, but if you are, I mean, you know, there's a lot of times what you're doing on any given day changes. And I think Joba said it off the jump, like, you got to step up. You got to do what you got to do. I was surprised how it was handled the whole way around. I think the Red Sox leadership in bringing him in, or bringing Bregman in without a real conversation and involving Rafael might have created a little bit of unnecessary tension off the jump. At the end of the day, I think I was surprised they didn't get a little bit more for him, to be quite frank. That to me seemed like work through the issue. And especially a few hours earlier, he was at the podium, right? He was interviewed kind of saying like, yo, I'm here. Everything's great. And then he's in an Uber, you know, leaving.
He literally said like, if you guys, I'm here, I want to be here. But if you guys don't want me, I don't want to play for people that don't want me. And they got rid of him. They clearly said they didn't want him. And
which is, yeah, I mean, I thought they might have got a little bit more. Another one pitcher is kind of a stud, but I mean, Devers, I mean, he, oddly enough, when I first saw that, I was like, man, I wonder if the Yankees might get in the mix and try to get who's playing third for the Giants?
Chapman.
Chapman, but he's hurt now.
Yeah, so Devers gets to go over there and look, Chapman was a Gold Glover in the NL. Bregman was the Gold Glover of the AL. He goes there. It's the exact same situation for him over there. Just, you know, it's because he has 2 Gold Glove third basemen. He's not going to play third base over there. They have a Gold Glover in Matt Chapman that they paid a bunch of money to. So he's going to be in the same scenario. I bet he's the DH. He'll play some third. He'll back up at third. He'll get some games in there. But he's not going to play a ton of third. He's going to be their DH, and probably they're going to ask him to play first next year. But I bet he does it to kind of stick it to Boston now. Because why would Boston do that?
I don't know. The trade didn't make a ton of sense to me. The timing of it, just the haul back for him. I thought if they waited a little bit longer, closer to the deadline, they might have been able to get a little bit more for Devers. I mean, but they might have also been 7 or 8 games up over 500 at that point, and been in a better position for themselves. So I don't know. The timing of it to me seemed off, but. It might be like a divorce, man. You just kind of, hey, we're doing it today, and there is no tomorrow, man. There is no tomorrow. So that's.
Yeah, hey guys, we are talking to U.S. Army veteran, Associate Vice President for Development of Tunnel to Towers Foundation, owner and operator of Upstate Strategies, the public affairs professional himself, Mr. Frank Luna. Joba, question for Frank. Joba, you're muted.
What do you say?
You got a question for Frank?
Honestly, I do honestly have a question, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's baseball related. I think it's man related, right? So when things change and you understand kind of what your role is. And like as we talk about sports and we talk about Shea Alexander in basketball and then certain guys, like if you were the leader or if you were the guy in the troop, like how did you guys come together and respect that guy who was the leader? Because we all had him. And how did you either being the leader or the guy in the troop, because we're all on a team. How did you, the mental capacity, how do I be better? That's the one thing I want to know.
Job, I appreciate that. And my military story is a little, I don't want to say interesting, but I joined at 36 years old, and I went enlisted infantry in the Army National Guard, which I had a college degree. I'd spent years working in a professional capacity. I went enlisted infantry because that was kind of like almost what you're saying. That was like the bottom of the barrel, knuckle dragging. Like that's what the Army had to offer, was like the guys who kill the bad guys, right? Like that's what I wanted to be. And, I got there and I was rocking a Jimmy Buffett t-shirt, and I was twice the age of most of the guys there. And I get off the bus, and the first drill sergeant is just yelling in my face. And he's like, "Are you lost? Are you effing lost?" And I'm like, man, I'm effed. And I looked the guy in the eye, and I was like, "No, drill sergeant, just a little bit late." And, bro, you could have heard a pin drop. And I thought I was cooked at that point. I'm like, I am freaking dead. And I'll tell you, man, the guy kind of looked at me and walked away. And as he was walking away, he like looked back at me. And I'm like, all right, I didn't die. That's an interesting way for him to respond to that. So I think to me, anytime leadership gets brought up, I just say, like, dude, you gotta do what you're gonna ask anybody else to do behind you. And that's in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is podcasting. You got to be able to cut a promo and go to break, right? And do all those things the right way. So for me, it was all about being willing to do what I had to do, or that I would ask anybody else to do. So, it just the cheesiest thing we hear as kids, right? Like lead by example. So I think if you do those things, people look at you and follow your lead when you're going wherever the hell it is you're going.
So how have you applied that with some of the Yankees players that you've worked with? I know Oswaldo Cabrera, Ben Rice, Will Warren, some of them on the major league roster, and then a couple of the prospects as well. What type of approach, like, is it something similar you would take when you were in the Army to doing it with athletes? Obviously, it's not the same level as combat, like Joba was saying, but like it's still something that you're going into, like brotherhood, team culture in the locker room, with, especially with a team like the Yankees that has all this tradition.
Well, I never served in combat, but I was activated once to the Capitol on January 6th. After that whole thing that went down there a few years ago. So I can't speak to the combat side of things, but I think Joba could probably talk about this, the amount of events he's done over his career. 3 years ago, I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was kind of bored, and I was like, man, I wonder how hard it is to do an event with a guy on the Yankees. So, I just emailed a bunch of people, DM'd, Instagram, whatever the hell it was. And, one guy got back to me and he's like, hey, Oswaldo Cabrera is going to be in New Jersey, New York on December 18th. I remember the date for whatever reason. And he's like, here's how much it costs. It's a few hours and here's what you get for it. I'm like, send me the contract. And the guy's like, this isn't a joke. And I'm like, dude, send me the contract. Like, I'm in, I'm good for it. And he sent me the contract. I signed it. And, I think from my angle, I was never in, and I never kind of got into the whole autograph, public appearance, athlete thing to make a ton of money for myself. For me, first and foremost, treat the athlete like the guy that they are and deserve to be treated like. Two, make sure they get paid on time, picked up the right way. They're never the one saying no to stuff. That whatever you agree upon beforehand is what happens on site. But a lot of that stuff, the integrity of it, I think, I learned in the military. That was a big thing in the military. Like, I'm never a guy who's like, yo, can you sign these 40 pieces for these kids with cancer? Like, that stuff's just so cheesy, and I hate when I see that shit. But to me, I worked in politics and government for a long time. I worked with governors, senators, congressmen. So to me, it was really just kind of treating the athlete the same way I would treat one of those guys. I'm not an equal on any level, but we're both men. Like, we're here for the right reason. We're doing it. We're doing this thing here. The athlete doesn't want me to lose money because that's going to put them at risk of getting paid right then and there. And, to me, it's just have a good attitude about it. And the most important thing that I think gets lost just generally in sports and life, that shit's about the kids, man. Like, that ain't about the grown-ass man who's wearing sweatpants with 16 baseballs. That is about that 9-year-old kid who's going to look up and see Joba Chamberlain in 2008 at an ice cream shop in New York and get his picture taken with him and get an autograph. So that's kind of like my 30,000-foot view of it. I feel like I've done pretty well in that space the past 3 years. I do what I say I'm going to do, and I do it the right way. I mean, that's just really how I feel that shit should go, quite frankly.
And if for me too, it's like my dad worked in corrections for 30 years. I grew up with jack shit. And Dad always said is what you give, you receive.
Yep.
And if you give respect, does not matter. It's like I'm not curing cancer. I'm giving you 3 hours for you to do what you want to do.
Yep.
You guys in your same realm, and I've been so fortunate enough when I had my Tommy John.
Yep.
God bless Dr. Andrews. Thank you so much. But I got to work out with Eagle Fund guys.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Can't say who they are and what they do because you can't do that. But these are the best of the best. And it's a mutual respect and exactly what you say. It's like, just do what you do. Like, and I don't want nothing from you.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, like, the greatest joy that I ever got was those dudes challenging me. Because I'm just a fat kid from the north side of Lincoln that happened to make it in baseball. If you want to come get some, come get some.
That's
like,
it,
I'm
yep.
good. I'm good. And it was just fun. And
that's cool.
I think for me, like when it comes to all of these things and how, you have grown your career and what you've done and how you did it later. But it's just like, how do you not respect that factor? Like, you allowed me to do what I do. Like, my dad was great. God bless his soul. I lost him 3 months ago. But he was like, you don't take shit from nobody. You may not be able to beat him up. I was like, well, I don't want to fight nobody.
Hmm.
And he goes, you know what you do? You do your job, because they can't beat you if you do your job.
Yep.
And I got that opportunity to do that, and so did you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have this conversation, because there are certain dudes that you have conversations with that understand certain things. And it's like an unwritten rule when you meet men like that, where they don't have to say what they say, but you know what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that, John. I don't mean to get too into it, but I remember, and I think anybody who ever met your dad just
thank
always had such an awesome opinion of him. And, I was talking to my cousin Tim today, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going on Joba Chamberlain's podcast tonight. And he was like, dude, you remember that time we met Harlan at the Yankee game? And he was just so cool. I'm sure we probably took. I don't even know if we had camera phones back then, but I remember meeting your dad, and he may have been in. Was he in a motorized wheelchair back then? Or
Yep.
Yeah, and we met him at the stadium, and he always had your jersey on, right? If I remember, he wore your jersey.
No, he just wore a Yankee hat.
Okay, all right. And I remember we met your dad at a game, and think about that. My cousin, 15, 16 years, that had to be maybe 18 years later, is still thinking fondly of Harlan, all these years later. So I thought you'd appreciate knowing that, and I know you recently lost him, so I want to let you know I'm thinking of you guys, and he left his mark on a lot of people, man, and I know he was proud of you, and that's something that you can't buy, and you've carried yourself in a way that left your father proud.
And I will say, Frank, too, it's like knowing Dad and getting to spend the life I did with him.
Yep.
And not to get emotional by any means, but Father's Day was yesterday, and it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough the first day without my dad.
Yep.
And my dad was my best friend.
Yep.
And I missed him a lot.
Yeah.
And I missed him a lot. But it was so cool because I got to hear stories. And I'm like, I love posting on social and talking to fans. But it was something that I really wanted to, like, I was like, do I post that my dad passed? Like, that's kind of bougie. Like, oh, you're just trying to get clicks. And I'm not trying to, because I don't need it. I don't want it.
No, man, yeah.
But the coolest thing I did, and I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it, because there were so many pictures of my dad interacting with fans that I never saw because I was on the field.
Yeah.
And I would never have had that if it wasn't for, and social media is shit at times because people take it a different way. And that's why I didn't really want to do it at first. But I was like, I've kind of done some cool things, so let's see if it works. But I really don't care. But the amount of pictures that I got that I would have never have seen if I did not post that. And it was so cool. They're like, he was great. He met us over here, and other
man.
things.
Yeah.
And I put it at his memorial, and it was just so cool. And I can't thank the fans enough, and the people that have followed me, And have I fucked up? Yes, 100%. But they stuck with me, and they rode with me, and we had a great run. And it was really cool just to see the stories. I had no idea about half of these. Dad would give me half of it. He'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I met this really cool person from, Rhode Island or something." And I'd be like, "Oh, what? That doesn't tell me much, Dad. Sorry."
Yep.
But I got to see all these things, and I spent a lot of time, and I know I couldn't get back to everybody, but for everybody that did that, I am so grateful. And I am so thankful that my dad got to spend that time with you guys, and I got that time with my father. And that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, man. I appreciate even you saying all that, and my dad and I think we're skipping out of line a little bit, but it just kind of came to my mind, and my dad and I have had an interesting relationship throughout our years, like all of us, right? I mean, Fish, I'm sure you've had it. I mean, we've all had those things, right? And yesterday I drove down and had lunch with my parents, and you gotta keep going, and your parents at the end of the day are kind of like the only two who stand behind you, and in some cases one, where it might just be your dad or your mom, and Joba, you said you've messed up, man. Everyone has, we all have, and at the end of the day, all we got is just 24 hours every single day to try to do right. And I remember I was talking to this one guy once, kind of one of my mentors in life. And he said to me, like, it's just crazy. He's like, if you go through any given day and make it to the end of the day, that's miracle number one in your life. If you make it to any given day and you helped one person that day, that's miracle number two. Every single one of us has the chance at 2 miracles every 24 hours. And dude, I gotta tell you, when he put that to me that way, I was like, holy shit, like that just made so much sense to me. Like, wow, man, all I got to do is make it through today and help one person. And, to just kind of wrap all that stuff up. Like we go through bad stuff so we can help other people go through bad stuff, and whether it's the loss of a parent, it's, something to your career, something in your personal life. I guarantee you, every one of us have done something not great that we're going to help somebody go through something similar at some point in our lives. So I don't know how this just got so deep.
I didn't expect us to get this deep, Frank.
Yeah, man, look.
It's all good. Joba, we were going to do a Father's Day segment, but we're kind of doing it now.
There you have it.
It's actually better than anything I had written, because how can you write something so pure and emotional like that? For me, I'm very thankful my father's still here. I coach football up near West Point. I have a lot of kids that half of them live on the Army base. I'm an offensive, defensive line coach, kind of offensive assistant. I've been doing it for a long time. It's such a joyful thing to be able to coach kids whose parents are in the armed services. It's like an extra responsibility. Obviously, you get a lot less talking back to you on a football field than you do in certain places that I've coached. A little trained a little differently over here, but I bring up coaching because you have some background in strength and conditioning, and especially when we talk about baseball, and I see it in football all the time, but in baseball, there's all these elbow injuries. There's all these Tommy John injuries. We see these young pitchers, these stud pitchers. This year it was Jackson Jobe was supposed to be the next guy. As soon as we hear, flexor tendon strain, we all know what that means at this point. They got to stop with these fake names for a torn elbow.
By the way, we call it every time on this show.
Yeah, we call it at this point. We know
the last 3 we've called them.
So my question to you, Frank, I remember the story of A-Rod warming up with a football at Yankee Stadium because he wanted to train the other ligaments and muscles in his elbow surrounding the ones he uses to play baseball with. And I was wondering if you had any experience with training athletes, especially baseball athletes, to try to you see all this like the fall ball, the 24/7. They're playing all year round. They're doing the same motion. These guys blow out their arms by the time they're in rookie ball, or by the time and they never end up having that career. How much of that do you see? Do you train baseball athletes? But we see it in all sports, overtraining and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really train individual athletes. I'm a partner in a strength and conditioning facility. A lot of the guys who work out there got a lot of college athletes that train there, and I think you kind of touched on it, Fish. When I think kids at a very young age are throwing a lot harder and a lot more than maybe their arms were meant to. My stepson is 9 years old, and that kid, like, this year was his first year of Little League, and they like the same 3 kids pitched every game. I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Like, these kids are 9. And it was like a rec Little League, you know what I mean? Like, I was amazed that like the same kids pitched every game. So I think that's a huge part of it. I think they're throwing the velocity's up, right? I mean, these kids are throwing harder in high school and college than I think have thrown in quite some time. So I think that's just overuse, man, and for the wrong reasons, like that. Yeah. Like, come on, dude, 9 years old. These kids shouldn't be throwing 70 pitches. I mean, it's funny. Quick story about that. My girlfriend's fiance's son. I just got engaged. He asked his coach if he could pitch.
Congratulations, dog. Congratulations.
Appreciate that, boys. Thank you. There it is, Joe. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm joining the club.
It's something. It's
exclusive
something.
club. You got it.
Speedy, where you at?
Speedy's a little bit away from that right now, unfortunately. Speedy, do
you
have any prospects?
All right.
No current prospects for Speedy, unfortunately.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
Well, we're trying. We know that.
Well, sign me up as a friend of that. Speedy, where do you live? Speedy,
Frank,
where do you live?
you're well, I'm on Long Island. My immediate family's in Connecticut, but your buddy Nathan is trying to be like he's trying to scout out some other prospects for sure. He's trying to make it always seem like he's going to be the big man.
We got to take him to the Jersey
Here's
Shore.
what
That's
I'm gonna do, Speedy. No, after this, whenever this thing gets off, and shoot me a text. I'm gonna send you a link to the Stone Pony Summer Stage. You like concerts?
Oh, he loves them.
I've been to a bunch of them. Yes,
If you're a concert guy, I'm gonna send you a link to this thing. You pick the night of the concert that you want to come to. I'm gonna give you a spot right next to my bar. I'm going to put you on I get 2 tickets per night. I'm giving you 1 ticket. You can use the other as a date, and then you'll know a bartender. You got a VIP ticket. You're in early. You know the bartender. This old guy's throwing drinks at you all night. Or
is it a free tab, Frank? Is it a free tab?
Hell yeah, I got him, Job. I'm not invited as my guest, bro. I mean, shit, he's my guest. I'm not going to charge him, put him on my tab. I'm going to cover his drinks. And then you could either bring a chick, which that's kind of cool. Like, you bring a chick, you get a hotel room not far. Say, hey, we're going to have a couple drinks. We're going to go to this concert. I know this guy. He works there.
Write all this down, Speedy.
No, you don't even write it down. I'm going to text it to him.
Even better.
And then you get like $120 hotel room somewhere nice, maybe a little more money since you're saving money on the concert. And you don't have to worry about food or anything that night. Just eat a pretzel when you're there, or you come with one of your good friends who's like a good guy, and then you guys can meet.
What do you mean? What do you mean good though, Frank? Like what does that mean?
You know this.
Okay.
We all have men in our life that if we go to a concert and we have an open bar at it, it's not going to go well. But we do have men in our life that we know if we do this, we'll get through the night okay, and there will be no issues. So, my offer to Speedy, you tell me, you want 1 ticket? You just come, and then you meet a nice young lady there that night, or you get 2, and you have a cool date night at the Jersey Shore. It's on you, bro. You don't even need to call now. But I'm just saying that's That's about as good offer as you're going to get on a night like tonight. So,
I mean, I don't know how much better that gets, Speedy.
Yeah.
Speedy, that's like an all-inclusive right there.
All-inclusive night in Asbury Park, buddy. I'm not buying your hotel room, and I'm not going home with you, but you'll be covered.
Speedy, I will buy your hotel room.
Look at this. It gets better, Speedy.
Done.
I will buy your hotel room.
Yep.
Oh man, we can't wait. So look, Frank, we loved having you on. I just got one more thing for you.
Yeah.
But we
I don't know how we're going to top that. I don't know how we're going to top that.
Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to top that by asking you about your new gig that you have with Tunnel to Towers. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there and what that foundation is all about?
Yeah, man. It's really God works in mysterious ways. I never expected to be working with this foundation. They do literally the Lord's work. So there's a few aspects of what Tunnel to Towers Foundation is doing. First and foremost, if you're a service member or a first responder who gets killed in the line of duty, Tunnel to Towers Foundation comes in. They pay the family's mortgage off. They make sure the kids are able to stay in their home, and there's no issues around that. If a service member or first responder is injured catastrophically, Tunnel to Towers will build them a smart home, which, as you can imagine, this isn't something you would think about unless you know guys or women who have gone through it. Say you're a sergeant in the Army, you got a 7-year-old kid and you're married and you lose your leg in combat or a training accident. You can't really live in the house you were living in before that. You're going to need, and Joba, from having Harlan as your dad, there's adjustments that need to be made to the home. And so Tunnel to Towers will come in, make sure that the home is outfitted correctly for, to deal with that injury.
Okay, so Frank, tell us how our fans and everybody can get involved with that, like website or whatever it is. Like, let us know how we can, because we'll do this on the show, because that for me is going to Dad's house and understanding how I had to make his house.
Yeah.
And you guys sacrificing your life and sometimes changes happen, right?
Yep.
So let us know how we can help you guys, like website wise, if there's something that we can do, that we can post and do everything and I can do. And from my family to yours, I will 100% do that. And so just let me know.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, T2T.org is the website. There's a really big push. There were so many people trying to reach out, hey, how can we help? So they wanted to make it, sometimes when you're doing charity stuff, you're like, if I donate $10, does it really even matter? Well, they've got an effort where an initiative to donate $11 a month. And, dude, you sign up on your credit card or your debit card. Nobody misses $11 a month, for the most part. Obviously some people may, but $11 a month is easy enough for all.
We spend way too much money that waste. Like, we can do that.
Yeah. So it's a really manageable amount for most folks, and that's a really good way to contribute. And the money, over 90% of the money, you should see our offices. Like, we're I say it like a cubby, we're not in like this big fancy office space in Manhattan. We're like, literally, Joba, I shit you not, we're in Staten Island, and we're next to a tanning salon and a hair salon. So it's like the most Staten Island thing in the world.
At least you're next to a hair salon because you have hair. Because I don't. Your hairline is fantastic.
I appreciate that, Job. I need that.
After, I got crickets.
Great.
Why do you think I always I got a great beard? I wish I could
beard.
transfer some of this here.
I know
it don't work though. But
I feel good at 41. My old man still has his hair all right. So one of the few good things my dad gave me was his hairline, I guess. So
I will say this, and I know we had a Father's Day segment, but when they put Dad to rest, they had him in a comb over, and I'm like, no, Dad wore hats. Get out of here. We are not doing that.
Yo, and by Job, I have got to correct this because you'll love this story even more. I try to stay off the phone when we're doing something like this. So my cousin texted me. I misremembered the story about your dad. My cousin was wearing your jersey and asked Harlan to autograph it, and he did.
How about
I did.
that?
So I want to tell a great story.
Yeah.
And Fish, I'm killing your segment. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
boys. Yeah.
we're gonna just do it right here, right now. In fact, you know
And-
what? I'll put up the graphic for it.
And so my dad was with us in 2010 when we got our rings. My father wore it every day. Every day. And my dad asked my son 2 things. Not even me. Because I was going to bury my dad with this ring because he wore it every day. And Carter said he wanted to keep it. And he asked him about his house. And my son wanted to keep that as well. You know what I did? And I know I devalued the ring. I took a diamond out of it because Dad's not here anymore. And I will never replace it, and I won't care because this is the man that got me to where I'm at. And I'm good with that. I'm good. And I will never replace it. Because when I always look at it, and now that I have it, I will always think of my father, and I love my dad, and I think about him every day. But when my son gets it, he gets to see a hole in it, and he gets to think about his choka, which is, so as Native Americans, choka is grandfather in our language. And so I go, Carter, when I pass, you take another diamond out, and then you pass it on to yours. My dad was the man. My dad was the shit.
Job, thanks for sharing that, man. I
appreciate
love
that.
that. And you said you may have devalued the ring, man. If anything, you made it more valuable. And what a cool heirloom and story for your boy. And that's life, man.
He was supposed to be on the show with us today because we got a media pass for him. Thanks, Nathan. Love you. But Carter's like at the lake and hanging out with his girlfriend and doing all the other stuff. And
how old is he, Job?
I guess I would probably be doing that when I'm 19 too.
He's
so
19. Holy cow! Wow.
He's sophomore in college. Sophomore in college.
That's awesome, man.
If I'm not mistaken, we had a picture of him at one point in college. There it was. There's Carter down there in the middle.
That's a blast.
That's from one of the first episodes.
Oh,
Job
that he
did
came
on the
in.
show.
Yeah.
Remember that when he came
Carter's
on the show?
right next to our logo. Yeah.
Yeah, right next to the logo.
He was in the back seat with his buddies. They were doing what college kids do, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Idiots.
Frank, listen, man, we had a great time having you on.
Yeah,
We'd love to
appreciate
have
you
you
boys.
on again.
Yep.
Anytime to come talk about anything going on with the Yankees or, anything doing with what you're doing over here with Tunnel to Towers Foundation. We're just so appreciative of magnificent job tonight, man. Thanks for coming on.
It's you guys. Yo, hold up. Everybody. Go ahead, Jabba. What were you saying?
Also, let us know how we can help.
Yes.
In any way. In any way.
Yeah, let
Jabba,
Nathan
you ever
know.
make it back out to the East Coast? Get out to New York?
I'm gonna get out once I get Carter back to college.
Cool. Yeah, man.
'Cause
Fans would love to see you.
spend the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, fans would love to see you out here too, man. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, we'll figure something cool out. And Speedy, don't think you're off the hook because you're on mute, dog. Like I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you that calendar of all the concerts, and you better let my ass know.
All right, hold on.
Holy
Nathan wants to
shit.
come in.
This is all right.
The
yo,
leash
hold
legend.
on.
Here he
Yo, can
comes.
you see this, Jabba? Can you see this?
The leash
That's my
legend.
cousin.
Oh,
that is my cousin showing you the picture.
I got arrested.
Showing
in
you
that
the jersey
sweatshirt.
your dad signed.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I got arrested in that sweatshirt. Yep.
My cousin probably got arrested in that jersey, so don't feel bad.
Perfect. Works.
That's pretty funny.
Yo, Frank, what up?
What up, Nathan? What's up, man?
Thank you for
The
joining.
legend.
Yeah, thank
Nah,
you for
man.
joining.
The legend of the
Did you hear me?
leash.
Huh?
I told these guys I thought you were pranking me when you asked me to be on the podcast.
Oh, why would I prank you, man? I would never prank you like that.
Yo, man, you're a worst
What's
guy
up,
who
boys?
likes busting people.
Yeah. Yo, but no, truly, thank you for joining, man. This was like really impactful. So
No, I appreciate you, man.
yeah,
I think,
I'll see you on this weekend.
know me, man. I'll be running around somewhere.
Can you guys hurry up? Because I gotta pee.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, us old guys got to go to the bathroom. Let us get off.
Boys,
This
take
came in
a
to
break.
purposely impact your bladder.
Guys, that was
Appreciate you,
and
boys.
final read off for you, Frank. That's
All right,
Army, U.S. Army veteran, Associate Vice President for Development of Tunnel to Towers Foundation, owner and operator of Upstage Strategies, public affairs professional, Mr.
Yeah.
Frank Luna. Thanks so much for joining us, Frank.
Adios, boys. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
Later.
Later, guys.
All right. Let's get back into some stories. Nathan, you want to talk sports? Do you know anything about Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, he's
All right, good. Wait your turn. We're going to get into it right now. The Dodgers are starting Shohei Ohtani tonight. The game starts in about a half hour. He's going to return to the mound versus the Padres. He's only going to throw, a couple of innings probably tonight, no more than 2. They were saying that it's actually a little bit easier for him to rehab this way instead of ramping up to pitch and then having to take a day off to be a DH. This is actually easier for him and will let him get more at-bats. The organization thinks it's better for his body as well. The Dodgers have 14 pitchers on the IL, including 4 of their starters. It's been 21 months since the Tommy John surgery, his second on his pitching arm, and he hasn't pitched since August 21st, 2023. Ohtani in his career has a 3.01 ERA, a 1.08 WHIP, and 608 strikeouts in 86 starts. Wow. Shohei Ohtani is back to being a two-way superstar for the first time, the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's only going to be an opener. He's probably not going to be ramped up until after the All-Star break. But again, he's pitching. There's a video, and I think I'm going to get one of the interns to put it up in a little bit. It's this him pitching a new pitch. I guess it's a two-seamer. We'll have to get Joba on it. But it's like breaking down and in to a right-handed hitter coming from a right-handed pitcher, almost like a screwball. But I'm pretty sure it's like similar to the Ching-Ming Wang two-seamer, just going a lot harder than Ching-Ming ever threw it. Here's the clip right here, if we can get it up. Just take a look at some of this movement on the. Well, actually, that's just him celebrating it, but it dives a good 2 feet inside. If he can pitch at, let's say, by the time he gets to the All-Star break, he's going 5 innings a game, right? Say he's about 5 inning, 6 inning guy. I don't expect him to go deeper into games than 6 innings at any point this season, right? I don't think that's the mission for them. The mission is they need pitching. He can pitch. He can help at least right now. And when he's fully healthy, he might be their best pitcher because he's that good. Now, if he's the best pitcher, Speedy, and he's doing what he's doing at the plate, which, by the way, isn't bad. In case you haven't noticed his stats at the plate, Speedy, I'm sure you're going to give them to me in a minute. There are literally maybe 3 people in the world that can do what he's doing at the plate. And then there's no one who could do it at the same time while he's at the mound. Will he stay healthy? Will he be able to do this for a long time? Well, the Dodgers bet a whole lot of money, deferred money, that he would. So this is the beginning. This is what the real test is. Look, 50-50 was great as a DH. It was good enough for the MVP. But what you could do as a top 3 hitter in the league and perhaps a top 10 pitcher is what would even surpass Judge, what he's doing this year. I know Errol, when he's on, Errol doesn't want to say that Judge isn't as good as Ohtani, but if we get the top 10 pitcher and a top 3 hitter, that's more value, especially in WAR, to a team than just as a good outfielder who's one of the greatest hitters we've ever seen. Yeah, I have to admit that.
Yeah, the two-way player was always the fascinating dynamic when he came into the league, as it was. And I had actually, oddly enough, at the time, he loves him now. I had an argument with Jeff because I was thinking I was very high on Ohtani. He's like, oh, he's gonna get hurt. Is it going to work? And obviously, he has gotten hurt, but his peak form has been still very good to look at. Yeah, you look at a top 10 pitcher. I think the biggest stat with him is strikeouts per 9 innings has been over 11 pretty consistently his whole career, and 608 strikeouts, like you mentioned, total. And now you add another pitch in your arsenal. If that two-seamer is as effective as it could be, it's definitely interesting. It shows that he's working his craft too. Like he knows that even his peak form as a pitching is still could be something that could be redeveloped, especially after 2 surgeries. We see it all the time. Like how good pitchers will be able to come back from having surgeries like that, having it multiple times as well. So adding that in your arsenal to go along with the amount of hard curveballs, hard fastballs that he has had, and that level of pitching is going to create it. And in addition, like you said, the hitting stats where he has an OPS of 1.034 this year. OPS plus is 189 on the year. So you're dealing with stats that are a little bit behind the previous 2 years. His last year with the Angels, OPS 1066, and he won the MVP last year, obviously winning the MVP with the historic 50-50 year. And now you're adding some pitching into that. Now you're right. He's not going to be like driven for length. I don't think any of these Dodgers pitchers really at this point are going to be driven for length because they feel like they have the enough rotational depth. They have enough organizational, like versatile relievers type. And I think that's a good thing for the mindset too, for somebody that could either be like a super, I guess you would call it like a super reliever, a super opener, however you want to do it for postseason strategy. Because we've seen Dave Roberts do that a lot. So we've seen him bring in starters out of the bullpen in playoff games. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. And that's the weapon that Ohtani could bring if he gets back to that peak form as a pitcher. And it's like I said, especially if he develops into that two-seamer, the extra pitches that he could do, it brings him another weapon in the postseason. Now, like you were saying, they have 14 other pitchers hurt right now. So they're going to have to play around with the depth as it is. How they did it last year was very impressive because I was high on them the way they were doing it in 23, and they still lost in the playoffs. So I was picking against them a lot last year in the postseason. And the Dodgers pitching, we knew their bullpen was good, but their starting pitching was still questionable. It proved me wrong. But again, it's another challenge, especially like you said with Sasaki hurt now. Snell, he's always streaky as it is. Could he come back the same? But Ohtani now being here, at least if he gets back to that form, like you said, top 10, top 15 pitcher form with that high strikeout rate, it gives you options to be able to be that either super opener, super reliever come playoff time, no matter what seed they end up in the playoffs. Because like we were talking about before, it's a very competitive NL West, but obviously the Dodgers with all the talent and all the deferred money they have, still the favorites.
It's just interesting to me, like when Errol says like the best, if he can go both sides. It might be a little early, but at the same time, like, I don't know if it is because we have somebody that's doing something that nobody's ever done. Babe Ruth was the last person to do it. And so if we get that, is he that dude? And can he keep it? And Fish, I agree. Like, if he can give you, like, he's going to open, and they're probably going to give him what? Probably, I would say 60 pitches. Probably is what
he had 44 in a simulated start his last time out in 3 innings. So I would imagine 65. Around 50, 60, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be 65, and that's kind of the progression of what we've done. Like when we have Tommy John, and he hasn't thrown since 23. So I think he's going to get probably 65. And if he goes out and shoves it up their ass, but does that really mean anything? I look at it 2 ways. Yes, he's on the mound, and yes, he is a presence. But if they're going to extend him, what is that going to mean, And I honestly don't know what that is because, shit, my first at bat, J.J. Hardy hit a home run off me. And coming off Tommy John, you just don't know because, yeah, I can throw against my teammates and I can throw in rehab games and I can do that. But it's different when you get to the big leagues. It's different when you get to the big leagues. So what's he going to be able to do? Let's see what happens. And I know Errol will argue this with me, and I hope he's having a fantastic time on his cruise with Brittany and everybody. But if he comes back and does the shit that he has done on the mound, because you look at his lifetime ERA, the man balls out. And so it just, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how he's going to respond. So let's see what happens. And he's going to do it. And I'm excited, obviously. And I'm waiting for it to come on because they should be on here in about an hour or so. And he's just a different anomaly. And I just think we haven't seen a character like this, and that's what I've said. I was like, I am not discrediting Judge by any means, being the best player by any means. But if he comes back and does half of what he does, right? Half. He's still the best player in the fucking planet. How do you deny that?
You know what's crazy? He separated his shoulder in the playoffs, and
sliding in a second,
and wasn't particularly good in the World Series.
No, he's terrible.
Well, I mean, he's playing with one arm. You know what I mean?
Judge hasn't been good in the playoffs either. So
no, but like what I'm saying is, we didn't even get a healthy Ohtani and lost the World Series to them. Now they get this guy perhaps at the peak of his powers again. He was a killer. If I'm not mistaken, the Mets had trouble with him in the NLCS, Speedy. If I'm not mistaken.
The Mets had trouble with him in the beginning of the series. He kind of cooled off a little bit after that, but there were other guys that heated up. Max Muncy and Tommy Edman and a bunch of other guys heated up after that. And the
Edman's
Mets
a good
lost.
player.
Yeah.
Look, Ohtani is the superstar for a team that didn't need him to win the World Series. Now they have him. The pitching needs to get healthy. I expect Snell to come back in a month or so. I think this was always going to happen with Snell. At some point early in the contract, he was going to miss.
We knew he was going to miss time. Yeah,
so
he's always like
even done
the first year of like a new team. It's bad. It's good.
Glasnow, I don't know if he's look, he's damaged goods. We know that. Hopefully, he can get himself healthy. They got a lot of guys. That they have so much. They spent so much money. They can keep putting guys out there. It's amazing. No other franchise would have lost 14 pitchers, 4 starters, and still be at the top of their division the way that they are, unless they had this murderer's row. Freddie Freeman, he didn't have a great regular season last year. He's battling some injuries. He's pretty good again. I mean, we saw it in the World Series. He hit that grand slam in Game 1 that none of us are going to forget for a long time. He hit one of those home runs in every single game of the series. Doesn't even matter. Didn't even need to, because he killed us. It was almost the same thing as Halliburton hitting that shot against the Knicks, or even in Game 1 against the Thunder, where that grand slam, that was the biggest momentum bust, just absolute kill shot that I've seen in the World Series Game 1 in a long time. You would have to go back to, like, what's the biggest Game 1? Or we get to go back to the Kirk Gibson, on one with 2 bad legs, as Vin Scully said at the time, right? Hitting that walk-off home run all those years ago. Was it 35 years ago now? I mean, what he did was remarkable. And they didn't even use Ohtani. This Dodger team is just... they've got to be prohibitive favorites. If you can get good money on them right now when guys are hurt, do it now. We don't have Let's Parlay till Thursday. But I'm telling you right now, I don't see how they don't repeat. I don't see it. No other team really blows me away. The Giants are trying. They know. Buster Posey knows that he's not getting past the Dodgers unless he beefs up that lineup. Now he's got Devers. I don't think it's enough yet, but I like to see teams do that. The Padres didn't really add this year, and Michael King, they just said, don't expect him back anytime soon. We might not see him. Joba, he's one of the guys that we mentioned.
I don't think he's going to pitch this year.
I don't think so either. It's some kind of shoulder thing, upper scapula. They don't know exactly what it is.
Those are tough too.
That's 3 months regardless. Luis Heel has been out with something like that all year. You know,
I
the
don't
Yankees
think we'll
haven't
get
gotten
him
back
back
yet.
till probably after the All-Star break.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm guessing
I,
mid.
I would say August, honestly.
Yeah, mid to late July, early August, I would think. Because, like, how are you supposed to, like, Job, I've never had that injury and tried to throw a baseball. You know, have you ever had, like, an upper lat strain like that?
I've never had that. I've had an oblique and a shoulder, and obviously having an ankle. I've had an elbow. I've had a knee. I've never had that, so I can't speak on that, and I don't know. But if they're out this long, it's going to be extended, because if it wasn't, it'd be like, oh, man, I mean, I get knots in my shoulder, but like when you get it in your scap, it throws both things off. So if they're not doing it and they're out this long, why are they not back yet? It's deeper than that, and that's why we've called the last 3 Tommy Johns in what we've talked about. Oh, it's a flexor strain. No, you're getting Tommy John. Sorry about your luck. Like
The flexor is strained because you've been throwing with a torn elbow, dummy. Like, that's why the flexor
Right.
tendon's strained.
Right.
Not you've strained your flexor tendon. If you keep going, you might hurt your elbow. Your elbow's already hurt, dummy. It's hurt. You're done. You're like, how many of them were able to pitch through it? Tanaka's the only one that comes to mind. They shut him down for the whole season that year.
Well, no, Tanaka, he didn't
Partial,
get,
right?
Yeah, so he did not get Tommy John. He got an injection and was like, I'm going to pitch through it. Some people can, some people can't.
Yeah.
He's one of the few in probably the last that I've been through. So it would have been since covering baseball and playing baseball. So probably the last 15 years. That's somebody that probably should have had it that didn't get it.
I always thought he should have, because, you know, before the injury, we saw that splitter. That splitter was filthy. After the injury, it wasn't the same pitch. He just couldn't get it to
how
go.
hard a splitter is on your elbow?
I can only imagine.
I tried to do it, and it fucking hurt.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I couldn't do it. Like, and I always hold a baseball in my hands as a split finger, but I never did to spread my fingers apart, because how we do in baseball is we manipulate a baseball. Like, I put pressure on different fingers on how to do things. And I tried to throw it a couple times, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, no, it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good.
I mean, I just remember him when he came up, and just watching that pitch by Ohtani that we showed a little earlier of that two-seamer, it reminded me of the Chin-Ming Wong-Toom's two-seamer, Jabba, just going about 10 to 15 miles an hour faster, just diving like in and down off the plate. If he can throw like that in the game, I mean, Speedy, he didn't have a pitch like that when he was throwing a couple of years ago, did he?
Not that I remember. The hard two-seamers, you see a lot of them with the younger pitchers when they come up, because you want to have like a second type of fastball like that, whether it's that or a harder cutter or a sinker. So you want to have that as a secondary pitch when you come up. But I don't remember Ohtani having to rely on that. He was mainly the 100-mile-an-hour fastball when he came up, and then the curveball.
Yeah, you saw the curve. You saw the four-seamer at the letters. You saw a whole lot of that. We're seeing a whole lot of that on this clip when he was pitching with the Angels. You know, and then some of the, there's a lot of that breaking stuff that you start seeing. It's not exactly a changeup, but they kind of use it in a similar way. Don't you think, Jabba, with a lot of the Asian pitchers, they have a curve, they have a fastball, and then everything else is some kind of, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you want to go back and look at it, and like when you bring guys in like that, and from the Japanese side, and you look at guys in like the gyro ball. Right. Think about that. And so it's like, you're really not creating a pitch. It's just something that they do different, because it's a different league. It's different hitters. It's just a different dynamic as a whole. And it was like, oh, Daisuke's going to come in and throw the gyro ball, and I think he posted for 54 million. I'm like, really, what does that do?
Didn't do much for him.
And I'm like, well, he didn't stay long.
No,
And
he finished off with the Mets.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it just doesn't, like, for me, I loved it. Like, I got to play. There was one dude that I thought was going to be really, really successful. And this was 2006. It's Atsushi Nomi. And he played for the Hanshin Tigers. And I was with, obviously, the Yankees at the time. And we had signed Keigawa. And he told me he sucks. And I'm like, you played with him. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But Nomi, and he never posted. He never did anything. But he was 10 times better because I matched up with him in Hawaii probably 4 times. And it was a battle. And that's the fun thing that I love. If I got a dude next to me going, like, I got to beat you. I can't make a mistake. I can't do this because he's not going to. And I went 2-1 against him because I made a mistake one time and gave up a 2-run homer. But AAA in Japan to the big leagues is completely different because they are paid very similarly, but they also are very similarly the same context. And Keigawa, I'm like, I played with Keigawa, and I was like, I would take Atsushi Nomi any day of the week, twice on Sunday. And it's just it's crazy to see these things. And then you got a guy like Otani, and it's like you throw your hands up because you can't do anything. Because we've had a Nomo, we've had a Narabu, we've had Kad Matsui. We've had so many. We've had an Ichiro. There's so many of them. Hideki Arabu was great. Hideo Nomo when they first came in, but it's just completely different. It's completely different on what this man can do. And Errol, hope you're having fun on the cruise. And I'm still gonna shit on you, even though you're on the cruise. Shohei is the best player in the major leagues right now. Love Aaron Judge. Love him. He's on a record-breaking season right now. But go throw pitches and see what happens.
It's like, Joba, Aaron Judge is putting up historic numbers. But if Shohei pitches the entire second half, I think he'll have more WAR than Judge. And Judge is going to have more WAR than anyone since Barry Bonds. And that's how crazy this
well,
is.
Well, he's on pace to do that.
No,
but
that's what I'm saying.
Is he going to finish that?
Well, say he does, right? Say he does. Say he finishes at like 370 with like Babe Ruth type numbers, right?
He's not going to hit 370.
No, I'm just saying, like best case scenario, right? Say that's best case scenario.
Okay.
Even if he does that, if Otani pitches like a top 10, top 15 pitcher the entire second half of the season and continues at his pace offensively, he's going to have a higher WAR at the end of the season than Judge. I think he is. And that's
so what is that conversation, though?
That the conversation is, if you can do both of those things, you're more valuable than the best hitter of all time having that season. That's kind of a crazy conversation to have. You could see Errol's side of it because he's hitting like one of the greatest hitters of all time.
100%. I see that side of it. And that's the thing that he said early when we talked about this, like he shouldn't pitch, he shouldn't do this. And okay, that's yours. But at the same time, you aren't him. So how can you say, like, if he comes back and does this, and he could be an average pitcher, an average pitcher, gets 10 starts or gets 50, 60 innings. How do you even compare that? You can't.
It's tough. And I think he'll get more than that. I think he'll get around 80 innings the rest of the way if he did it.
My peak was when they said, because it originally, and I talked to a couple guys, and they're like, because I originally thought he was just going to do a sim game again. And then they put him in the game, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they said it, that it would be Speedy. I don't know if you saw this, but they said that, and we got to move on to our next segment, but it would be easier for him to rehab by pitching in games than having to stop and gear up for a simulated game, then rest for a day, and then come back for a DH.
Preach!
Sound familiar, Joba?
Yep, been through it.
Had to get that little part out there.
Yeah, thank
Guys,
you. I appreciate it.
We have one of our favorite segments coming up right now. We call this Tic-Tac-No.
Morris, right in the butt. What? We get the prizes cheap because they're stolen.
Oh, yes, our brand new. Look at our new Tic-Tac-No board. Yes, Speedy, our host of Tic-Tac-No right now. Yes, that is our new board. What an addition to Tic-Tac-No. Speedy's got some trivia questions for us. And we're going to get started right away. Speedy, start us off. So last time we beat you in a tiebreaker, the first one that ever went all the way to the last square. And if I'm not mistaken, I was able to win that last tiebreaker. Speedy, you have something for us this time?
All right. We're going to go first to the NBA. We're going to go different end of the spectrum. We've talked about the younger teams with the Pacers and the Thunder. Let's go back to the older team with the Dallas Mavericks when Rick Carlisle took them to the finals. Dirk Nowitzki apparently was not one of the top 5 oldest players on the team. Name 3 of the 5 players that were older than him on that roster.
Jason Kidd has to be one of them, right?
100%.
Correct. Yes.
Jason Terry.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was on that.
All right. So we gave our guesses. We can't go again. Someone else has to get the last one.
So
Is Tyson Chandler, was he older than him?
Tyson Chandler was not on that team.
No.
Oh,
What year did you say, Speedy?
The Mavericks championship year.
Was that 11?
Honestly, my bad. Tyson Chandler was on that team, but he was.
that's what I thought. I thought he was on
Yeah,
the
but he
team.
was young on that team.
Okay, all right.
2011?
Yeah.
Went to the Knicks after. All right, so we can't help. Tommy and I can't help. We got Jason Kidd and Jason Terry. There's got to be one more old head that was on that squad. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I don't know. I can't really help.
Then, in Speedy, you said then who?
So Jason Kidd, there are 5 players older than Dirk Nowitzki on that championship team.
At the time.
Zach, he's got it. He's just in deep pondering. He's trying to come up with a name.
No, I don't remember the name, but is it the guy with the weird shooting form?
It is.
John Marion.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. Oh, there we go.
All right,
There
we got
is.
it.
Okay.
Okay, let's add it to the stage. All right, so Joba, you got that last one. Here's your new icon, Joba. Where do you want to go?
John Marion was on that team? I don't even know.
Middle, Joba?
Let's take. Yeah, do you want to take the middle or you want to take top right?
Your call, man.
Let's go middle.
All right, we're going to go middle.
I know we already said it, Fish, but this graphic is still fantastic.
Thank you very much. I've spent a lot of time on this one. All right, let's put it back down. Speedy, next question.
All right, first I want to reveal the other 2. The other 2 were Brian Cardinal was one, and then the other one was somebody that Joba, I think you mentioned in King of the Hill a few weeks ago, was Peja Stojakovic.
Peja was on that team. That's right.
Oh, that was the end of his career.
Very
That's
end.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Speedy.
We'll shift to the NHL now. So The Edmonton Oilers are looking to come back from down 3-2. Who is the most recent team to overcome a 3-2 deficit to win the Stanley Cup?
So had to win in 7, obviously. When was the last 7 game?
I'm just gonna take a shot. Was it
in 7?
the St. Louis Blues?
Down 3-2. No.
Not the Blues.
I don't know much about hockey, but the Tampa Bay Lightning, is that?
No.
They did not need 7 games to win either of their Stanley Cups.
They're so dominant.
They beat the Rangers in 7 games.
I'm going to guess the Stars.
Nope.
No.
No, it would have been.
I'll take my guess. The LA Kings.
Nope. They just keep coming back on the Rangers in game. Multi-goal. They only needed
so
5
bad
games,
with this.
unfortunately, to beat the Rangers.
All right. I'm going to dig deep on this one. Is this the Penguins?
Nope. I think Joba's the last one with a guess.
It would be. I know it's not recent. I'm gonna go. Not the Kings.
Give it a shot.
Damn it! I don't.
Just name a team.
Is it the Maple Leafs?
They've never
No,
won.
wasn't that long ago. No, this is the irony of it. The correct answer is the 2011 Bruins in the rookie year of Brad Marchand.
That was the famous Tim Thomas season,
Golly.
Speedy.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
All right. He was a very old goalie that dominated.
Damn
Okay.
you!
All right, Speedy. Where are we going?
All right, well, I have to check out the new board.
Well, check out your earrings there, Speedy. You got some nice earrings of
My earrings,
yourself.
huh?
Of yourself hanging from your ears.
Let's go top left with Goody's new logo with his LSU jersey.
All right. Here we go. We'll just move Nathan out of the way and Goody Errol out of the way.
He's had to go on another show. We can't even get the debut of the Blue Blazer.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, let's come back. Another question, Speedy.
All right, so let's shift. It's the first time with me hosting the segment to some golf. Obviously, U.S. Open just yesterday. So 2 golfers got their first and only U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club. One was in 2007, the other was in 2016. You only need one of the 2.
Tiger Woods.
Nope.
No.
His first, Tommy?
They're only one. This is the only U.S. Open both of these 2 guys have ever won.
You said at Oakmont?
At Oakmont. One was in 2007. The other was in 2016.
I'm gonna take a shot. Is it Brooks Koepka?
Nope. His was actually here at Shinnecock in 2018.
What Jordan Spieth is that? Jordan Spieth.
It was not Jordan
Oh,
Spieth.
I know.
I put
know.
$5 on Spieth to win at 7 plus 7,000. He did not come close. Didn't work out for me.
Is it? It's 1, 2. And I'm a golf guy.
I'm gonna just pick the funniest name I remember from golf, and I'll go with Jose Maria Olazabal.
No.
No.
Damn. All right.
That's it.
So you said the first winners at Oakmont.
That's got to be a name we give to Errol for Sound It Out.
It's not a bad one. We should do golf for Sound It Out.
So first winners at Oakmont at the Open.
So
right?
yeah, there were 2 of them recently. There were some older ones too, obviously, because golf's a older sport. Yeah, one was in 2007. One was in 2016.
So it wouldn't be old school.
And both these guys, this is the only time they've ever won the U.S. Open.
Oh, the 2007. That was when we were watching it. Oh God, who was that?
Oh,
Damn
I
it!
think I know who it is. I think I know who it is.
I know who. And you said Jose Maria Lozalvo, and like I'm looking at like, well, was it Angel Cabrera?
Yes, it was. Very good.
Oh!
Hey.
Got the right country. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's what. Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I think that was because that's the only one he's won, and he's on the senior tour.
All right, Jabba, where are we going?
We're gonna go. How do we block? And we'll go.
This is just Speedy's low icon. He's only got this one up here.
All right, so let's go bottom right. No, let's go. No, let's go bottom left, so we can kind of block it sometime.
All right, I like it. All right, here we go, Speedy. Next question.
All right, so Rafael Devers finished with 31 career home runs with the Yankees, one short of tying for fifth most all-time in career home run with the Yankees. Whose record would he have tied with one more home run?
Say that one more time, please.
So Rafael Devers finished with 31 career home runs against the Yankees, so one short of tying somebody for fifth all-time. Whose record would he have tied?
All players ever?
Yes, all
On the
players.
Yankees?
All
Versus
players
the Yankees.
on the Red Sox versus the
Oh, just Red Sox. Okay.
Just Red Sox.
So just Red Sox first Yankees,
Just Red
right?
Sox versus the Yankees.
31 home runs.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm gonna get embarrassed in this. I know. Aaron, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's Boston players, right? Like,
yeah, a Boston player.
I mean,
All
I don't know how many, but David Ortiz.
He had a lot more than.
I know, but it was just one out there. Like, I don't know.
No, he had a lot
I'm
more.
glad you took it because it was definitely a guess.
All right, I'm gonna rip a guess. Was it Dustin Pedroia?
Nope.
He didn't have that kind of power.
I figured. I just thought I'd throw a name out there.
Zach and Tommy, any guesses?
So a Red Sox guy.
I don't even know any Red Sox players.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't watch much baseball. I gotta.
How about we go back to Ted Williams?
Nope, he has the most all time.
He has like 40 some, I think.
I think it was 62 was his.
Oh,
total.
Jesus.
I think Ortiz was 58. I want to say.
All right. Well, those were the two names that came to my mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw one crazy, I think. And since when, Speedy?
Is it all time?
It's all time.
Oh, all time?
It's not 1920s baseball like Owen, though.
There was another guy on that Red Sox team with
I was
Big
gonna
Papi.
say, there's one. I know what you're talking about. There's one.
Oh, it's not Johnny Damon. I know that.
Can I relinquish my pick to Aaron? Are we doing that? No?
Sure. It's the Hofstra connection. Go ahead.
Hofstra connection. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
tagging
you
you.
get
All right.
one. Take it or no?
Take it.
Manny Ramirez.
No.
Where was he on that list?
He was third.
By the way, Speedy's not gonna give us one that's like. I want to say like a Mirabelli, a Millar, but it's not any of those.
What about from like the 70s? What about that generation? The 80s, 70s, 80s team.
Is it Rice?
That was
Oh, my bad.
thinking.
Manny Ramirez was fourth. My bad, but it's 36. He has more.
He had more. So Jabba said Jim Rice.
Jim Rice is actually tied with Manny Ramirez. Also had 36.
Damn it!
All right, so we're out then. Unless you got a guess, Zach.
I got nothing. I wish I had a guess. I can't think of anything.
All right, Speedy.
But
tell
Jabba
us.
was on the right track. It was that era. It was Dwight Evans.
Evans.
I knew it was is a part of that.
Speedy going for the
Gosh
block
dang
over
it.
here.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. Now we got to stop Speedy on this one. He's one away as well now.
So yeah, Carl Yastrzemski was 52. He was third. And then Manny Ramirez, Jim Rice, 36.
I knew you weren't going to give us a name.
I really thought it was Rice.
We beat you, and I honestly did too. But I was like, I think it's around that realm. But he's not going to give us like a Yastrzemski or
Evans. That's a tough question. That was a good one, Speedy. Let's keep going.
All right, we'll go to college baseball ones. Obviously,
no
hitter. No hitter that occurred today. 19 strikeouts from Wood in that 9 innings. So the record he broke was of Ed Bain, who had 17 strikeouts. For which school that recently has changed conference?
Jesus Christ!
Oh, rephrase that. Like what it?
He pitched for a school that has changed conferences.
Hold on. So what is your question?
So which school did he pitch for? This guy.
Who had the record? What school did the guy who had the record play for?
Before the Arkansas pitcher Wood broke it today. Of 17 strikeouts, 9-inning game. So
his name was what?
Ed Bain.
Wasn't that the murderer from what was that movie? Ed Gein with the face, leather face. Wasn't that his real name?
I don't even know.
Amityville Horror? Yeah, Amityville
So
Horror.
it's the school that
You're looking for the school, yes. The school he pitched for. Recently, in this recent conference expansion, it realigned to a different conference.
I'm just going to give you a wild guess. Texas A&M.
No.
All right.
I'm also just going to rip a guess. Is it Texas?
Nope.
Are they in this series now?
No.
Tennessee.
No.
Vanderbilt.
Is it a big name school?
It's a well-known school. Yes.
Is it a baseball school?
Is it Power 4?
Yes, it's Power
4. Okay.
Oh, it's gonna be one of these old ones. Like, fuck.
They're not in this current term.
I just got all the notes and shit today. Like, are you fucking shitting me?
I don't know enough about the conference realignment to even be able to answer
And I
it.
don't know that either. How baseball realigned.
We need this though, or else Speedy wins. So we need everyone to make a guess.
Fish, is it the same as football? Like, is it because I know like
conference realignment
is the same.
All right, because I know Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC.
They went to the SEC,
and then UCLA.
They went to the SEC.
Yeah,
How long ago did they change their
It's
contract?
going to be West Coast team.
It was just this past season.
Yes, it was the recent
This is gonna be
realignment.
the second season with new realignment. So like I know USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington went to the Big Ten from the Pac-12 as well.
Give us a guess.
Those are like the big names, but yeah, I don't know.
Some guys, give a guess.
So
I already did.
Use the names Jake gave you. Jake's probably on the right track.
What were the names again? Let me hear some of the names.
West Coast.
Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC.
Former Pac-10.
Yeah, not Big Ten.
Did anybody say UCLA? I'm gonna say UCLA then.
No.
No. No. Yeah, he said he's
They're
not
in it, so not in it.
All right, you can get that
I
back.
can get again.
Yeah, you can go again.
Do the other one.
Oregon then? Is Oregon in?
The other one in. All right, fine, whatever. I don't know the answer.
Oregon counts for that type of method, but it is wrong.
I was saying like
Oregon did move to the Big Ten. No, it's not wrong.
I know, but when I said the other one, I meant the other LA school, obviously.
Oh, I didn't know. So what was the other? USC?
Not USC.
Oh damn.
Oh well. Zach and Aaron, we need to just guess, or else it's over.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get. Is it Arizona?
They are still in. Arizona's still in.
No.
Arizona's still in. It's somebody that
Aaron, wild guess for a
San
for a
Diego? I
chance.
don't know.
I don't think that's gonna be it.
No, I don't know.
No, San Diego State is not, or San Diego. Neither of them are not Power 4. But Zach was the closest. It was Arizona State.
Oh, all right. Well, guess what?
You were on the right track, though. You just forgot the ones that moved from the Big 12. Utah,
I did. Yeah, I did forget
Utah,
those.
Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State. Those are the ones.
Because I knew the Big
Wow.
Ten ones in the SEC. I just didn't know the Big 12 ones that moved.
Yeah, so Texas and Oklahoma, like you said, moved to the SEC. Those are the 4 that moved to the Big Ten, the ones you said. Oregon, Washington, and the 2 California schools. And then Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State moved to the Big 12.
Damn it, you're right. Yeah, because now it's only
Those are the whole conference realignment. Fish, your guess at Texas A&M, that was a lot earlier. They moved to the SEC from the Big 12.
Yeah, I know. All right. Guys, great effort. Speedy, you defeated us this time. We'll have another chance.
Who was
next
it?
week.
I had to sign autographs.
Arizona
and take
State
a picture.
it was.
Zach said Arizona, and it was Arizona State. We were so close. But no cigar. Tic-tac-no goes to Speedy tonight. Great job, Speedy.
Dang it.
And we are going to take a quick break. And after these messages, we're going to come back, talk about the big NBA trade, and talk a little bit about tomorrow night's Game 6 in the Stanley Cup Finals. But first, Tommy Scoops with Sports Minute.
This is the Joba and the Mouth Sports Minute.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen. I am back once again with the Sports Minute. If I can just pull this up once again. There we go. Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I always like to start off with some NFL, and as we can remember, the Kansas City Chiefs actually fell flat on their face last season, where wide receiver Rashee Rice said he is confident that the Kansas City Chiefs will put on a show and actually get it done this season. Now, after once again, like I said, getting blown out, obliterated, whatever you want to put it, against the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, the wide receiver Rashee Rice says that the team has a lot of guys, and our wide receiver depth is explosive for sure. Now, Rice, who actually suffered a season-ending injury last season in Week 4, actually is progressing really well in rehab and could likely be on the field for the team come Week 1. Now, the Chiefs are going to be beginning their NFL season against the Chargers in actually Brazil, and could even be getting a head start on winning their 10th straight AFC West title. And I don't know how I feel about that, but it's kind of crazy if the Kansas City Chiefs can win yet another Super Bowl. But shifting over to the NFC, to another West Side team over on the NFC West, 49ers GM John Lynch said that the offseason was a bit uneasy and a little bit messy, but necessary for the team. Now, the offseason for the Niners, which actually saw moves such as trading away veteran wide receiver Deebo Samuel to Washington, signing linebackers Fred Warner, and QB Brock Purdy, and tight end George Kittle, Lynch said it was a tough pill to swallow, but the team needed it, saying it spoke to how good our roster was. The hardest part was watching guys walk who helped the roster, but once again was needed for the team. Now to finish over on the NBA hardwood, veteran forward Kevin Durant has reportedly ruled out Minnesota Timberwolves as a landing spot this season. Now everybody's been closely following the Durant saga on where he will end up once again, after he announced that he is likely out of his way from Phoenix, having a list of teams that he desires to go to. ESPN's Shams Charania actually reported that Durant has no desires to link up with Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves as the teams for Durant that he could possibly wind up on. Although ESPN also just a while ago did report that the Phoenix Suns actually did receive an offer from the Miami Heat, but were not on the same page to actually deal away Durant to Miami. And with that being said, they could actually be landing Kevin Durant over in Miami for the foreseeable future. We shall see how that goes. But it's time for some Scoops of Scores now, where I'm going to be reading you guys some NBA scores in the NBA Finals as Game 5 is underway, and the Thunder have a 78-70 lead with 3 minutes left in the third to go. As in the MLB, the Red Sox currently have a 2-0 lead over the Mariners at the bottom of the third, while at the top of the second, the Astros have a 1-0 lead over the Athletics. The bottom of the first, the Padres have a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers, and the Yankees are actually going to be falling to the Angels 1-0 in extra innings over in the 11th inning, as that game has just come to a close. And for some College World Series, the LSU and UCLA game is actually still on a rain delay, and it doesn't look to be resuming anytime soon. The game was actually delayed at the top of the 4th inning, with LSU having a 5-3 lead over the UCLA Bruins. Not sure what's going to happen with that there. It's going on about 2 hours now delayed, so we shall see within the coming days how that will play out, or in the coming hours, I should say. But, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys are checking out all our social medias at Joba and the Mouth on Twitter, TikTok, and on Instagram, even our YouTube at Joba in the Mouth, where we constantly and daily post our videos. Also, make sure to check out our Apple podcast at Joba in the Mouth. Also, on Joba in the Mouth at Spotify, which is now in video. Guys, that is all the time that I have for you guys right now. I am going to be kicking it back to the boys for another episode of the Fishcast with On Joba in the Mouth.
Any questions?
We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Joba and the Mouth. Speedy, you love the dance music, don't you? Every generation.
I might have to prepare for it if I have to go out with Frank.
Hey, listen, we cannot wait for you to go out with Frank.
Frank
Frank
was very excited for that. I could tell.
If you missed the interview, Frank is giving Speedy a full night, nice bar tab, an extra ticket to go to the Stone Pony for their concert series this summer in the Jersey Shore. Frank bartends over there. He's a Jersey Shore guy. And Speedy, we could get you a date very easily, or you could go
That
by
is the
yourself.
dream for Nithin.
Hey, look, it's not about Nithin right here. Nithin, listen.
No,
Nithin
Nithin
will
just
take
wants
care
to
of
be this
Nithin.
ultimate wingman.
Look, the two of you guys as wingman, like Nithin as your wingman, I mean, arguably would be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I would love to be a fly on the wall for that. I really would.
All the leashes, gin and tonic, chicken curry, blow pops. I mean, it's all the Nithin specialties.
Well, either way, you're not getting out of this, Speedy. I mean, Errol's going to be ecstatic about this. We've been trying to set you up a nice lady, you know, a nice significant other for you, Speedy. I think it's something that, you know, that you're ready for. I think the world, all your fans out there, all the Joba in the Mouth fans, we need Speedy to find Mrs. Speedy. That's what we need. And I think it's time, Speedy. I think everyone's there to give you this support right now. And I think you should use it, especially coming from such an illustrious guest, giving you such a nice deal. And then Joba said he would pay for your hotel room. So all you have to do, you don't have to pay for any drinks. You don't have to pay for the room. You just got to get there and spit your game, Speedy. What would that sound like? I'm just a little curious. So like, Tommy, turn your camera on for a second. Come on in here.
Thank you, Lee.
All right, there I am.
Tommy, what do you think Speedy's game would? So pretend like we're going out. We're at the Stone Pony. We see, you know, we're at the bar. We get, you know, the nice bar tab. Frank's there. He gave us the connection. And now there's a bachelorette party there. They're there, Speedy. And everybody knows what it means when there's a bachelorette party. They're ready to party in more ways than one. They have sashes on.
Kind of easy there, if anything, you know? Especially with a couple of drinks in your system. Come on.
Well, we know, look, Speedy, as we saw in the tic-tac-no graphic, excellent dancer. Excellent.
I was about to say, it has to have a little bit of alcohol in the system. And he has to get the moves going. I think once he gets the
it's his kind of music at the Stone Pony. It's your kind of music that they play over there in the Jersey Shore. That's Asbury Park. That's Bruce Springsteen's stomping grounds right there. That's the place we're talking about, right? So it's gonna be rock music, probably, Speedy, is my guess. I think this is like, you know, we're just checking off boxes here, is what I see, and I think, you know, at some point we're just gonna have to do this as a segment that we film live. and I think our fans are just going to root for you, because I know we all root for you, and we're there to help you as teammates as well. So I don't know, Tommy, can you give me like what you think Speedy's game would sound like in that scenario?
Well, if we're talking Speedy, like we said, that he has a couple of drinks in his system, whatever fancies your pickle at the moment. You have a couple of drinks in your system. Speedy, let me ask you something. Are you good at gyrating your hips? Like, can you do a little
gyrating my hips?
Can you like do a little swerve? No? Because if you like, I'm just saying, you were doing some pretty good dance moves there, you know? Even when Fish, you
Jake,
remember.
Bring the tic-tac-no back so we can watch Speedy dance again.
Fish, we remember the Hit me with your best shot. Hit Speedy dancing over there in New Orleans with that. We remember exactly how
That's
low he
true. I
how the
do have
fifth-
more video of Speedy
Right?
dancing. I forgot I had more
I have
video of
to do that
Speedy
too, actually.
dancing.
That'll be up for next Tic Tac No, actually, or it's the next episode or whatnot. But Speedy,
So-
if you gyrate your hips and you do it, and you kind of got a little bit going right there. I seen it like there, but if
Just
you,
just
oh my
peek out the blonde cougar behind him. That's just like, hey, yeah, clapping it up for him. Speedy, you didn't even see this woman. She was all about it.
I'm
sure she
about
was.
it.
I don't even think Errol saw her because I think Errol would have definitely like try to make something. He would have had her gravitate toward her. And
You
said,
know exactly what Errol did. The guy came down with a microphone and said, "Who wants to sing?" And Errol took the microphone out of his hand and proceeded to be a better DJ than he was. That's exactly what happened. And I'm sure that surprises 0 people that listen to this show that that's what happened. And Errol was fantastic when he took the microphone. I think they tried to do, him and his buddy, was it Ray that was with us, tried to do, what's the rap song, the white boy rap song from the early 90s? Jump Around. They tried to sing Jump Around. And Ray forgot the words pretty quickly. Errol,
Yes.
Errol looked like he had done this at a party about 13,000 times in his life, because let's face it, the man's a DJ's work. He worked like 3 different functions before going on the cruise. That guy just works, man. They had to peel him off away from jobs to get him on a cruise ship to relax. Errol, we
peeling
hope
him-
you're having a good time if you're listening to us live or
man,
getting
enjoy
it
your
like
cruise.
delayed.
Look out
Enjoy
for
the
those sharks.
Yeah, there's a lot of sharks in that water. We know you don't like that water. It's called thalassophobia, right, Zach? Something like that.
Thalassophobia, something like that.
Jurassic Park of a phobia. Thalassophobia. I was
There we
right. Thalassophobia. Thalassophobia.
Yes,
Very
Jamie Lee, I was
deep
going
water.
at that night.
Kind of like so if you have thalassophobia, like Titanic's got to be like the scariest movie ever for you, I would imagine. Just sinking into that deep cold water. That wouldn't be great. I don't know. Errol's going to be fine though. That's a great, safe cruise liner. I'm sure it's fine. With the all you can drink inclusive. Oh wait. No all you can drink.
Maybe if they had like
Well,
some
every
smoothies
once in a while.
or banana smoothies or whatnot. We used to go to Applebee's. Errol used to love some strawberry banana smoothies.
Strawberry banana smoothie at Applebee's.
Yep, I didn't even know they sold that until Errol asked. So there we go. I think one time he downed like about 2 of them.
Not gonna lie, that sounds
He
pretty good.
also has a really like. My mom has this too. Like he doesn't get brain freeze. Like it's crazy how fast he could like drink really cold things. Yeah.
I mean, there's an easy joke about not having a brain that we can do in there at some point, but brain freeze is something that I fight with every time with those types of things. So I stay away. But I'll never forget. I was on the Israeli birthright trip, and I got to stay like an extra dozen days because you could do that back then. I don't know if you could do that anymore, but me and my one friend, we just stayed in Tel Aviv, and we were eating. You'd wake up in the morning, go to the beach, and you would get these like smoothies, but they would be spiked with alcohol. So just imagine what you're describing, but spiked with alcohol. And like you would get these French fries, like these steak fries with hummus and like mushrooms and onions on top of them. It's just so delicious. Like I never had that experience anywhere else in my life, but we did it like every morning. We were in Tel Aviv at like 10:30 in the morning in January. It was like 75 degrees. It was a beautiful way to start the day. And I just want to give so prayers out there. Got all the conflict going on in the Middle East, especially in Israel.
Especially
right
recently.
now. Stay safe out there. Everybody involved, literally everybody.
Yep. No, just gonna say, especially I know a couple of reporters that are actually out there covering certain things. So safety out for them as well.
Yeah, it's been reporters targeted and things like that. So they're in the line of fire out there.
Oh,
Just a little update before we get into our next segment. It's 87-79. OKC up 8 going into the fourth quarter.
Does Halliburton
at
still
this
have
time.
0 points?
I don't know. I know he really struggled in the first half. I'll pop open the stats. He's got 2 points on 0 of 6 shooting. Wow. He's got 2 foul shots that he's made, and 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Only 1 turnover.
0 from the field, but 2 points from free throws.
I don't know how they win without him doing this, without him scoring. We never know. In the fourth quarter, the guy comes alive, but they're definitely up against it. But it's still only 8. It's still a single-digit game, so they've come back for more. We've seen it, It's still anyway going. Jake says that TJ McConnell's got 18 points. That's like the most annoying player in the NBA, TJ McConnell. Like, he's got to be. He picks you up full court, and he just finds a way to steal the inbounds pass. Like, just do these, like, take 2 possessions
Very
for
pesky,
one.
very pesky player.
Like, one of the most pesky guys I've ever seen. Yeah, Zach says you hate to play against him. You'd love to have him on your team. You absolutely would love to have that guy on your team. And it's not surprising, like, Rick Carlisle has that guy on his team. Rick Carlisle was that kind of player as well when he was way back in the day. And he's always had guys that were pesky. So and they play that way. So good for them. We'll see how that goes. We'll keep you guys updated on it. But before we do that, we got to talk about some basketball trade news. Oh, yeah. Desmond Bane on the move to Orlando. The Grizzlies trade Bane to the Magic for a massive haul. ESPN Shams Charania reports that the Grizzlies have traded Desmond Bane to the Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. The draft picks will be this year's number 16th overall pick. The big prize is the Suns' first-round pick next year, 2 unprotected picks in 28 and 30, and the pick swap is in 2029. ESPN's Tim Bontemps reports that the Magic were not interested in Kevin Durant, which we keep hearing, not interested in Kevin Durant from literally every team in the league. We heard that from the Knicks earlier today. We heard it from another team that we were talking about in an earlier segment. For some reason, nobody wants KD right now. Maybe it's all his burner accounts, but they didn't expect to be in the sweepstake for Giannis. This was the next available move to get Desmond Bane, according to the Magic source. He added that the Grizzlies are still expected to build around John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. and will likely extend Jackson this offseason. Desmond Bane this year averaged career highs 19.2 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, 5.3 assists a game, shot 48.4 field goal percentage. I believe in the playoffs, or actually I don't have the exact numbers for 3-point percent for this year, Speedy, but his career is a 41% shooter from 3, and he was 47% from the field. I think this year was even better from 3, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think he was 39 from 3 this year. His peak year was 2022. He was 42.8, I believe, from 3.
So when we're talking guys that shoot around 40%, we're talking about the best shooters in the league. And Desmond Bane is one of the best shooting guards or shooters that is a guard. I don't know if he's a point. I would probably say he's a 2 guard. He plays a little bit more.
2 guard mostly, yeah.
But he handles the ball really well for a 2 guard. So he's not super tall, but listen, everything is a bucket for this guy. Catch and shoot. They say as a catch and shoot 3, I think he had the highest percentage in the league, something like that, where he's the best catch and shoot 3 guy in the NBA right now with volume. So he's taking shots and he's making them. This is a guy that you want. And then on the other side of the court, huge 2-way player. He's one of the better, it kind of reminds me of more like Mikal Bridges defensively. Just a little bit more stocky, a lot more muscular of a player. But similar type of, he's going to stay in front of you. He might not be the best defender in the league, but he's certainly going to stay in front of your guy and he's going to make you work. He's a 2-way player. He's a guy that anyone would want on their team. However, what price are teams going to pay for this? That 2026 pick, Speedy, could be a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
That Suns pick. Because we know the Suns are getting rid of KD. We know Bradley Beal is washed up beyond recognition, and all they're going to have is Booker. So that is a lottery team. We've seen it already. That's nothing. They should rebuild around Booker. They should get rid of everybody else. They should try to bottom out. But they don't have that pick next year. So I don't think they're going to try to bottom out because why would you if you don't have the pick?
Right.
Now, at the same time, is Desmond Bane worth enough to give up what could be a franchise player in that draft? Not to mention a whole bunch of other rotational pieces. Most people think Cole Anthony is a decent rotational guard. He's a guy off the bench that you wouldn't mind being your backup point guard, instant offense off the bench. Pope was signed to a nice contract before the season, and then had one of the worst seasons of anybody that played in basketball this year, coming away from Denver. So they tried to get off of that contract, and I heard that one of these picks, Speedy, was actually thrown in to sweeten the pot to take Caldwell-Pope off of their hands. So that's why it's 5 total picks with the swap instead of just 4. But again, That's a lot to give up for a catch and shoot 3-and-D guy. Now, we saw the Knicks do it with Mikal Bridges, right? Mikal Bridges, I would say, is a little bit more diverse offensively, but he wasn't this year, right? You would say that Bane had a 49-point game. In fact, you're going to see clips from it right now, earlier this season. The guy's for real. He can really put it in the basket. And he does all the little things right as well. 6 rebounds, 5 assists. That's 2-guard numbers. That's what Halliburton's numbers look like as far as outside of the assists. He does everything just as good as that guy. He's better defensively than Halliburton. Obviously, he's not the passer Halliburton is. But if you needed a guy like this, and what did the Magic need? They needed shooters. He's perfect for that team. Think about what they have. They got Paolo Banchero, who's this young superstar in the making.
Yep.
And when he drives to the lane, people give him attention. What do guys like that need? People to kick out to. What did they not have? A guy like Desmond Bane. Now they have him. Is it enough? The East is wide open. Speedy, do you think it's enough to get out of the East? Getting Bane?
You have to get him to that max potential that you're going to believe that he was a first-round pick. And he fell in the draft that year. He was supposed to be more like a mid-first-round pick as that 3-and-D type guy. But again, is it enough when you have those other picks that you could have used to accumulate more depth? I was saying they just need more of a backcourt. They have not developed him well with Cole Anthony, who I liked at the time. I thought he would be a better player than he's turned out to be. Like you said, he's a serviceable backup, but not much of a starter. Anthony Black was another one that was a first-round pick that came from Arkansas, very fast point guard, but not overly skilled overall as a shooter. So you're really looking at a lot of stretch fours on this team, guys that could shoot with good size, great defensive team like we discussed last year, but was not the offensive team that they needed. Bane is a great fit for them. I love the fit, but it's not the only player that they need. Now, maybe they're hoping that maybe other teams either overreact to trades, or obviously the Celtics maybe not being as good without Tatum, but the Celtics are still a very good roster overall that probably we would still take over Orlando. Milwaukee, maybe they trade things, but the Knicks are still going to be there, the Cavs and the Pacers. So again, they needed a lot more than just the one player. We'll see. Maybe they do get a free agent. Maybe they have something up their sleeve. If that's the case, maybe it doesn't look as bad, but I think they needed those extra picks to make it work. Like you said, that Suns pick, I definitely could see being that high.
I mean, that's a prize, right? That Suns pick's a prize. I mean, keep hearing about the draft next year. We know the Boozer brothers will be involved in that draft next year.
I was just going to mention them. Mm-hmm.
We know AJ Dibansa is going to be, I don't know if I'm 100% sure he's pronouncing his name right, but that's the guy that I keep hearing is going to be the other guy in BYU. It's a loaded draft. You gave up that and a whole bunch else for a 3-and-D guy. You better be right. Or you're really mortgaging your job. As the general manager of this team, if you're wrong about this, you're fired.
Yeah. And when the Knicks, you brought up Bridges. When the Knicks traded for Bridges last year, you kind of thought of it, all right, they're a player or two away type thing. But Orlando is not thought of that way. They're 2 to 3, and a lot more things have to happen right. Obviously, they have to stay healthy to start because, again, Franz Wagner for a big man like that, you hate to see that kind of thing for an injury for that type of versatile big man. Obviously, Banchero was hurt for a while. A lot of their other draft picks have not developed as well as they should because of injuries, either in their front court, but we knew that they needed the back court as a result. The problem is they weren't just that one piece where, like, the Knicks had it with Bridges, then they ended up getting talent later in the offseason, which I guess was unexpected out of nowhere. Not completely, but enough there to say, all right, the Knicks are an obvious championship contender now. Obviously, they didn't, but they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think you're thinking that with Orlando right now, just on this move alone. If they do something else, maybe, but they're still not there yet. And maybe they're banking on the fact that they're not going to get a free agent, but why would you even sell your hand like that and be impulsive?
Is Franz hurt? How hurt is Franz?
Well, no, he's not hurt now. He was hurt during the season, though.
Right. So they just fought injuries this past year. But the thing that I was fascinated by, and maybe Jake, you can touch on this with the Magic, they decided to make Jalen Suggs their point guard for real and not just mess around with this. Maybe he'll play off ball and Cole Anthony will play point guard. They went with Suggs. And when he was on the court, they were a really good team. When he got hurt and he wasn't out there, they were not a very good team. Do you think that with this addition that they are a top 4 team in the East next year? Because that's what they're asking. That's what they're saying they're doing, I would imagine, by trading all these picks. Like, that's the last move, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's really close. I mean, obviously now with Jason Tatum going down with Achilles injury, you figure they're out for this year. I mean, they'll probably still compete with Jaylen Brown, but you figure they're definitely not going to be the strongest team. So right now that probably leaves, probably solidified top 3 being the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Pacers. And then you kind of see who's that 4th team. And I think the Magic could probably fit in there right away because I don't really see too many other teams, big up there and contending. And the Magic, like you said, I think they put Jalen Suggs in there as their point guard. It worked out really well for them. And I guess they weren't really getting what they wanted out of Cole Anthony, similar with Markelle Fultz. I think they were maybe more just looking for a backup role at point guard. So if they add in someone like Desmond Bane, who we kind of discussed, he's like a hybrid 2 guard who can give you great on the defense on the other side of the ball. And then, maybe take the pressure a little bit off of Paolo and Franz as well. So I think it's a great move for Orlando, although you are right about that, Fish. That draft pick from Phoenix could be really valuable and it could bite them in the ass if it doesn't go the right way. So it is a higher risk gamble, but I think in the East, especially when you're not going to have to deal with Boston for this year, it's absolutely the right move to go for it. And then the other side of it for Memphis, you still have Ja Morant, and he is still a young star who, obviously got to figure out the off the court issues. And then again, he has been dealing with injuries here and there, but you just think about how many teams in the West. I mean, you look how close the Western Conference was down the stretch. They only were separated, most teams, by a game or 2 at the end of the season. So I think it makes perfect sense for them to try to retool and figure they're probably not going to be able to go for it in how dense the West. I mean, the West has always been a battle-tested conference, and you have teams all over the place who are, willing to compete. And, maybe they can try to build around Ja and Jaren Jackson. And obviously they got to pay him, of course. They got to give him his contract. And I think he has earned it. Obviously, I think he was, 2nd or 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year. I believe Evan Mobley did come out with the award.
Yeah, I think Jackson should have won it last year too. I think they gave it to Draymond.
Right, he did play. He played very dominantly, and he's kind of been the anchor for their defense, similar to, in a sense, like a Rudy Gobert, but maybe a little bit better of a scorer. Yes. But yeah, honestly, I think it's a great move for both teams because, the Grizzlies can kind of, I guess, reevaluate a little bit, see what they have with Ja and JJ and who they can put around them. And then for Orlando, it's, what, you might as well go for it now with seeing that the Indiana Pacers with their miracle run that they've had this year all the way to the finals. And then, you only really have to deal with the Knicks and the Cavs. So if you're the Magic, you might as well go for it. So I think it's a great move for them.
It does make sense if you're the Grizzlies, right? They got rid of their coach. It was clear that Bane was making the money that had to be given to extensions to Jackson and or Morant, depending on if they want to do that and all. That's a whole nother story. Well, I'm sure it's something we will talk about a lot this offseason. Is Ja Morant staying in Memphis? They could say whatever they want. They really can. They could say, we're going to build around Ja. Okay. But if they get the number 1 pick, they luck into it next year by getting that. Or maybe they get the number 3 pick. There's 4 or 5 guys coming out next year's draft that can easily be a franchise cornerstone. Ja Morant was the number 1 pick. He was number 2. Right? Doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. And there's a bunch of guys that go later in the draft that people do well. I mean, Bane was what? As a top 10 pick?
25.
Wasn't a top 10
pick. He was like 25. He was supposed to be like a mid-first round
looking
pick.
it up. Desmond Bane won
TCU, I believe.
30.
I think you could argue that Fish looking back that even though Ja was the 2nd overall pick, looking at how Zion has panned out with all his injury concerns and the fact that he has clearly not been motivated to stay in shape, the job probably is the right choice for the number 1 pick in hindsight, of course. But obviously he's got his off court issues and he has dealt with injuries himself too. But he's definitely, when he's healthy, he's been a fantastic player.
I guess you would still take Ja today.
Yeah,
over
he
Zion.
kind of seems like a little bit more of like a bouncier, maybe even if you want to say that, like Derrick Rose from back in the day. Maybe you want to work on a shot a little bit more.
We're not willing to say that RJ Barrett would be better than either one of them, though. Yet, I don't think that's happening.
No. Apparently, he might be get traded again.
Well, look, RJ, good for RJ collecting those checks. We loved him when he was in New York. Sometimes, man, that guy.
He had a couple good shots.
Most people loved him. That wasn't Julius Randle.
Yeah, we didn't hear enough about that beef. I think RJ's just kind of a weird dude. I think that might have just been what it was. Zion, I mean, the stories with Zion, with the women and the video.
I didn't even mention that, but you're right. He's getting way out there.
Bro, he's. I mean, he's only what? Is he even 27 yet? Like, he's got to be. I mean, he should be entering the prime of his career, and like, you know, he definitely played lighter
24.
last
That's
year.
crazy.
He's only 24
Born
years
in
old.
2000.
Wow.
He's only
He's
3
still
years
young,
older
right?
than me.
But so,
It's only 2 years older
can
than
you
me. That's
imagine?
crazy.
So, I mean, look, you know, if you're in your early 20s and you have millions of dollars, I guess you just find all the people on OnlyFans and have yourself a grand old time. Because that's certainly what Zion's been doing. Maybe it's time for him to get on a team that wins, you know, and start playing like he deserves this money. It is kind of a shame New Orleans just can't put together a product. It looked like for a couple of years ago, it looked like they were about to turn a corner, and it just went completely south so fast.
I thought when they added CJ McConnell a couple of years back, after Portland decided to unload them, I thought he could have gave them like great leadership, and it looked like they were going to turn things around. And of course, you know, with Brandon Ingram as well being cast off from the Lakers, even when they had Lonzo before his tragic injuries went down, it seemed like they were building a little bit of a core around there. But it all came down to Zion and you know, his lack of discipline.
I have to ask you a question, Jake. I got into an argument with Errol months ago, and Speedy knows exactly where I'm going.
I was going to say Brandon Ingram, Owen's favorite player.
I know where you're going with this.
So Errol thinks Brandon Ingram, because again, number 2 overall pick, he thought he was, you know, one of the best players in the NBA. And I was like, most analytical guys think he's terrible. And he's got a, you know, very low efficiency rating. And I said, I'd much rather have Mikal Bridges than Brandon Ingram. Now, you can say that Brandon Ingram's a better scorer than Mikal Bridges, but I don't think he does anything else better. And Errol disagreed with me. What do you think? Now that the season's
you know,
over for both of those
if
guys,
it was early in their careers, I think I probably still would have said Brandon Ingram because I felt like the ceiling was probably higher. But at this point in their careers, honestly, I think it would take Mikal Bridges just because Mikal is like I think like you said, Brandon Ingram probably, you know, shot for shot scorer, you probably would take Brandon Ingram. But other than that, like Mikal Bridges, I probably would think he's a better defender. I think he's probably a better facilitator at times, you know. And Brandon Ingram, again, he does get to have the ball a lot. But personally, I think I would still stick with Mikal Bridges because he's kind of like a glue guy. Honestly, like again, not an all-star player, but I think he's got that potential. And he's been like right on the cusp of it many times, but you know, he's just had a lot of great teammates, you know, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Jalen Brunson, guys who've been, you know, better than him. So I don't think he's had that chance to shine. But, you know, when he was in Brooklyn for that 1 or 2 years, we saw how great he was and that potential he had with Cam Johnson and or Cam Thomas, excuse me. And you could clearly see that the guy had the ability to be, I think, an all-star level player. But, you know, I think teams probably prefer him more as like a 6-man or you know, a really good role player, or even, you know, the solid, you know, 3rd or 4th scorer on the starting lineup. But yeah, personally at this point, I think you are right. I probably would go with Mikal Bridges. But, you know, I think also Brandon Ingram kind of did get screwed over a little early in his career, especially when, you know, LeBron came over to the Lakers.
It was the LeBron move to the Lakers that did
right,
force him out of there.
Yeah, LeBron.
The infamous LeBron's going to trade you. LeBron's going to trade you.
Here's 7 of the GM LeBron saga.
To chime in real quick on the whole Mikal Bridges versus Brandon Ingram debate, of course, the best, we always say it all the time, the best ability is availability. And of course, Mikal Bridges has not missed a single NBA game. And if we're looking at the amount of games they've just played, Brandon Ingram has played 495 games while coming in the league 2016, 2017, and so that is quite the amount of games and just not short amount of time that he's been, because it's only 2 seasons ahead of him. But hey, I that can't go unnoticed though. Like, the amount of time, the amount of availability that Mikal Bridges has is absolutely unmatched by anybody in the league. So
yeah, Tommy, even the 1 year, I think when he got traded from Phoenix to Brooklyn, or it was maybe Brooklyn,
still played every game. Yeah,
I think he actually got an extra game somehow. Like I think he played 83 games. Like he might have even played one more game.
Oh yeah, you're right.
More than he was allowed, which like I didn't even know you could do because I thought there's like the league league minimum and also the maximum where you're not allowed to, because of the signings and you have to get, medical clear. But somehow he played an extra game. And so, like you said, he's just healthy all the time. He's always there and he's ready.
Yeah, he played 83 games in a season. Who knew you could do that?
We never think of that except with football because they're traded and they don't get a bye week.
That's
All
true.
right.
Yeah.
Let's move on from this. It should be interesting to see how the Magic play out this next one. We got one more segment of content before we get done tonight, and we'll go to What's That Smell after that. But we got to talk about Stanley Cup. Speedy. Panthers win Game 5. Take a I shouldn't say commanding lead. It's a 3-2 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like you said, last time that a team had come back down 3-2 was
2011 Bruins.
The 2011 Bruins. I believe Tim Thomas was the goaltender back then. But
Yes, it was.
the Panthers just play Panthers hockey, man. Like, you watch them play, and it started from the opening faceoff. The opening faceoff. And guys, I have two different ones on there. I think you're going to play the second clip. The other one is going to show you the very first second of the game when Brad Marchand takes the opening faceoff and goes right to the net and scores. And they were up 3-0. And the game's basically over. Now, we saw that happen in Game 4, and the Oilers came back and tied at 3-3 and eventually won in overtime. There was no letting off the gas in this game, Speedy. They had absolute no mercy for it. Give you some of the stats from the game. So again, it was 5-2 final. They go up 3-2. Marchand had 2 goals early in the game. He becomes the first player to score 5 goals in 2 different Stanley Cups with 2 different teams, doing it with that Bruins team in 2011. He also is one of 7 players to score 5 goals in 2 cups, and is the first one to do it since Mario Lemieux in 1991-92 season. Also ties, I think he was on the Rangers at the time of 94, S.A. Tikkanen, who had, I think, more goals that postseason than Teeth, as the only 2 players who have done that at age 35 or older. Panthers now have 15 games, scoring 4 more goals this postseason, tied for second most in NHL history, only trailing the 91-92 Penguins, who did it one more time, 16. Sam Bennett, 15th goal of the postseason in this game, 27 goals in the playoffs in the last 3 years, second behind Draisaitl, who has 34. Sam Bennett has been an absolute beast in this playoffs. He was incredible earlier in the series, still going. They have just a lot of guys like Sam Bennett. They just do. And look, Coach Knobloch, undecided who the goaltender is going to be tomorrow night. That is the biggest issue, right, Speedy? We get to this point of the year and you don't know who your goalie is. How can you expect to win the Stanley Cup? I can't remember a single team in this situation that won. Can you?
Well, the only one that's unconventional, but the guy started most of the second half of the postseason was what Vegas did 2 years ago, starting 4 goalies in the postseason. But Aiden Hill still started probably most of the time, where it was enough consistency basis because they won in the Stanley Cup against Florida in 5 games. I think Dallas they won in 6 games, but it was a comfortable type situation. This type of thing they keep flip flopping. Now, you're right. I don't know if there's ever a coach that has gotten this confident in just flipping goalies this quickly and have it to succeed to the same level that we've seen. Obviously, when the Penguins won the Cup for Matt Murray, they did it earlier in the postseason. They just stuck with it. He just happened to play well. So it's one of those things that this often, it's not something that you want any team to do. It's just the way they ended up building the team. When you have to pay Draisaitl, you have to pay McDavid to build up. They pay these contracts to build up depth, and none of them are consistently good. That's the kind of thing that could be a spark. Now they're used to it. They did this against the Kings when they were down 2-0 in the first round. They ended up pulling Skinner for Pickard. Pickard's a spark plug. They ended up winning 4 straight to win that series, and they flip-flopped many other times in those next 2 series. They beat Vegas and Dallas in back-to-back series in 5 games and flip-flopped goalies a lot. Pulled Skinner. He got his confidence back after that. And I think that's what they're trying to expect them to do here. Now, that's probably the more likely scenario, but I applaud Knobloch for not revealing it because you don't want to show your hand to Florida, have them prepare differently, especially with Florida having the last change now going back home. So you don't want to have to prepare for this goalie's weaknesses versus the other goalie's weaknesses. So I applaud Knobloch for doing that. It's something that Edmonton is going to have to tighten up defensively, though, especially like you're saying on these opening faceoffs where Florida, who's not supposed to be the faster team in this series, is breaking out in space, especially in the first period, a lot more often than you've seen with a lot of these older wingers. And the reason I said Florida still had the X factor on the second and third lines were those players that, like Bennett, that had those versatile type setups. Reinhart scored a goal in that game. Carter Verhaeghe, we haven't seen as much in this series, but we've seen him in the past be that guy. We saw him last year be that guy in the Stanley Cup. And they dominated the Edmonton second and third lines. And the wingers that I thought would be more physical for Edmonton have not been as much there. And maybe they're in the penalty box too much. Maybe they're just not as fast off the jump, but that was a big reason I thought they would win this series in 7, which they still can, but they have to play better defensively. They're forward wingers if they want to beat Florida.
It's Reinhart, it's Bennett, it's Marchand. It's these types of players. It's amazing they were able to get at Marchand. I feel like Paul Maurice, when he took over this team, we should talk about Paul Maurice a little bit, because let's remember, he took over for this squad right after they won the President's Cup.
That's right.
And everyone said, what are you doing? You just had the best team in the league, and you're getting rid of your coach. Well, look how smart they look.
Oh, yeah, because remember, the interim coach, it was an interim coach that year. That was the whole Quenville saga. Andrew Burnett becomes the interim coach that year. That was the 21-22 season. I think he had spent a year with the Devils as an assistant coach, and then he ended up coaching Nashville. It was horrible.
It really was just kind of miraculous that they were able to get Maurice at the right time. I mean, the way that they play, it's like Maurice said, I want everyone on my team to play like Brad Marchand, because he's the guy that used to constantly terrorize them. Mm-hmm. And now they have him on the team. It's just ridiculous. It's just grinding out every single shift with guys that have good skill. Usually those guys don't have elite skill. These guys do. And they grind like that. It's hard to play with them forever. It leads to bad penalties. We keep seeing it all series. They take dumb penalties because they hate playing against these guys. Nobody likes playing against these guys. This is a really hard team to play against. Look, last year I thought this Florida team I think is even better than the team that won last year. And I thought when the Rangers played them, I was like, how are you supposed to beat this team? I really didn't know.
The Rangers even strength numbers did not show that. Not serious.
Well, there's plenty. We don't have to get into that. The Rangers are probably selling the entire house by the end of this next month here. I think in the next 4 weeks, it's going to look like a very different team.
I was referring to last year, though, when they were having the power play versus even strength fluctuation, which I think is something that maybe Edmonton's falling into a little bit. Not that their even strength is anywhere. It's a lot better than what the Rangers were last year. But again, having to rely on the power play and not drawing as many penalties, too, because Florida has still been, I guess you could say, disciplined enough outside of the one game, the game 4 that they lost. It's been disciplined enough. And they're hybrid forwards. Everyone says in hockey, like, you try to build like championship teams with 3 centers and you could build the rest from there, build from the middle out. Florida has tons of guys that can play center, wings that can play center too, which makes it a tough matchup. And that's the one thing I thought Edmonton, I had the physical wingers to adjust to. That hasn't been enough still.
Look, McDavid's still unstoppable. I mean, he had a goal in the game. I think it's on the highlight that we have queued up right now, where he just kind of like walks by everyone. Here it is. Look at this. He just kind of walks right in. Nothing you could do about it. He's still the best offensive player in the world. It's amazing what he can do. But if you're not going to do that on every shift, and if you're not going to be able to do that when the puck's not in the attack zone, this team's going to kill you. And you can't show up not ready. And you cannot fall behind. They've been playing with a lot of fire falling behind on them. The recipe for success tomorrow night, Speedy, it's very simple. Get some power plays early and get the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Get the lead.
And
Whatever you have to do.
Don't fall into I guess you want to call it a hybrid trap concept that they use, because Florida does that a lot in the center ice. Florida possessed the puck like crazy in the first 10 minutes of that game. And they ended up outshotting, including the first goal, 8-1. Edmonton finally had a ripple effect, and they were able to piece together those goals to be able to come back. But then they did the same thing in Game 5. Game 4, they did that. They were outshot, I think, 10-2 in the first period. I mentioned that in my 6-pack. And then the second game, it was the same kind of thing. They were outshot, I think, 11-3 after the first period. Like, they're not going to be able to win like that. Not even just the total shots amount, but the possession of the puck has to be so much better.
Not to mention your goalie forgot how to play. It's just a lot for the Oilers to overcome. They have 2 of the 3 best players in the world playing together on the power play. Get on that power play, get a lead, and you'll have a chance to win this series still. That's the real message. And look at that. That's Marchand. That's the opening faceoff. Talk about just deflating a team. I don't know how you do it better than that.
That same point on the ice, Bennett scored his goal too. So it's something with that slot area against the goalie, and that's why I'm saying it's good for them not to reveal it, because then they'll be able to game plan even more for it.
I think I saw it. I don't think they even broke 20 shots in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like a really low shot number. And Pickard, was it Pickard or Picard?
Calvin Pickard.
I want to say Picard because of Star Trek. I just want to say it, you know. But Pickard. Here, let me pull it up. Maybe one of our guys can get the stats up for us. But I'm pretty sure he had like 14 saves on 18 shots, and that's not going to get it done. Like, it's just not. So let's see.
Yeah, 14 saves, 18 shots. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
5 goals on 18 shots.
And that's the guy they wanted to go with ahead of Skinner, who, again, like you said, he's lost his confidence. How are you supposed to get your confidence back against the Panthers? I just don't see it.
He has this very weird bounce back mechanism, though, where it does work. It just probably is they need to win 2 games. Can he do it twice in a row?
Look, this is what I think happens, Speedy. I think if the Panthers get a lead early, it's going to get ugly quick. I think you're going to end up seeing something like 7-2, and they're going to party over there. And they're going to win back-to-back cups for the first time since Penguins.
Yep.
Right?
Freaking goalie changes against the Rangers and sparked them two cups.
Well, at least the Rangers now have that coach on their squad, right? Mike Sullivan's over here now. So
yes, I could hope that could help for these younger players at least.
I mean, look at that. I think it was it Reinhardt or Bennett? I think it was Reinhardt that he's just such a hard player to play against. They slashed him, got the penalty. You know, I think it was a major penalty. The game was already over in that one. It's just amazing how guys can just get under your skin with the way they play. And no one does it better than the Florida Panthers. Power to them. I really expect them to kind of, if they can get just, all they need is they to get that first goal. I don't see how they lose this next game. What do you think, Speedy?
Yeah, and also just the possession of the puck just has to transition out of the zone faster, off the face-off faster if you're Edmonton. And those second and third line veteran players have to be much better than they've been. Again, Edmonton doesn't want to have to play the defensive style of game. They want to be breaking out of the zone fast, which they have the defensemen even to do that. But it's a matter of not having to play just 2 periods and expect to have these big runs. Because even the last series they played against Dallas, their spark came in the second periods a lot more. And it's going to be hard for them to rely on that again, trying to do it. They did in game 4, fine. Now, granted, Florida's defense, I don't think collectively has been as good as they were last year, even though I think their offense has definitely been as good as last year. I don't think their defense has been as good as last year. So there's still, I think, hope for Edmonton if they can get that and going and stay disciplined. It's just going to be a lot harder to trust if you're not getting those depth forwards to work. And that goes to what you were predicting, Fish. Zach Hyman's injury, I think, has been much more costly.
We said it before the series. We were like, that guy might be a bridge too far to lose.
I thought they had enough, but it didn't. It hasn't seemed like it.
You have to be good on all 4 lines against this Panthers team. It doesn't matter what line they put up against you. They're good everywhere, and they make you work for it. Without Hyman, they don't have that depth in the middle. They don't have that depth down in that third line. It's just not enough. And unless McDavid pulls a rabbit out of his hat for 2 straight games, I don't see how
Stuart
they do
Skinner
it.
had one random shutout in him because, like the memes on Twitter like to say, he either gets a shutout or have a 850 save percentage.
All right. Well, look, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. It's been a really good series. 2 really great teams. Rematch from last year. We only got one thing left to do tonight, guys. Last segment. What's that smell?
What is that smell? What's that smell? Wow, you don't see that every day.
Yep, you know that sound. That's What's That Smell. Let's get everybody in on the camera for What's That Smell. See if Joba can make it back. That'd be great. But we're going to go to the big full view once we get everybody in. There we go. See if Joba can join us. If not, we'll just go through this. We're going to start with Tommy. Guys, if you have something, the way that What's That Smell is just like anything that's happened the last few days. Usually on Monday show, we do it over what happened over the weekend. Just a weird story that, you know, just kind of rubbed you the wrong way. Or maybe even if it's a good story, we say it smells like something. So you got to tell at the end of it, what does that smell like? You got to tell us what it smells like. So we'll go Tommy, Joba. If you guys want to try one, Zach, Jake, Aaron, you guys want to try one? You don't have to.
Sure, I'll give one a shot.
Jake's gonna give it a shot.
I'll try to think as we go along.
I'm thinking of one right now, so I'll
if you come up with one, we'll call on you. But if not, I won't. Jake, we will call on you. So to go, Tommy, Joba, Jake, Speedy, me. All right, let's get some the sound on.
All right,
and let's start it off with Tommy Scoops for What's That Smell.
All right. So basically, it broke today, I believe. Yeah, today it was just announced that competitive eater, known as, I guess people would say, the GOAT now, Joey Chestnut, was just announced to make his return to the most famous Nathan's Coney Island 4th of July hot dog eating contest after Nathan's last year decided to lift the ban that was implemented last year. Now, for those who don't know, the reason why he was banned last year was having filmed a commercial for an Impossible Meat hot dog commercial where Nathan's decided to ban him because, you know, banning him from competing in the future. Didn't like the commercial. Didn't like that the Nathan's hot dog guy is over there with Impossible Meat. Anyways, however, after last year's poor viewership with the hot dog eating contest, and even after a makeshift sort of hot dog eating contest that saw Joey Chestnut versus a longtime competitive rival, Kobayashi, and another hot dog eating contest, which aired on Netflix, had Rey Mysterio, Mark Cuban, did pretty well for the viewing ships. However, after that, here we are about a month away from it. Nathan's decided to lift the ban from Joey Chestnut, meaning that he will be competing in this year's contest. However, it's just very stupid move. You know, there's no reason that they should have ever banned him in the first place. I get that they didn't like him representing an Impossible Meat. Nobody ever watches the hot dog eating contest besides watching most famous Joey Chestnut. Even had a time where he was up against a YouTube sensation competitive eater, Matthew Stoney, where he actually lost and then beat him the year right after. You know, it's pretty good stuff when watching Joey Chestnut. Should have never banned him in the first place because I don't know what they were thinking over some nasty hot dog eating company. So what does it smell like? It smells like a steaming hot chili cheese dog with some from under cheese from under my nuts. So there we go.
We met Joey at the Super Bowl.
We did. I was just going to mention that. Yeah, we were going to sit down. And
I actually asked him about it, and you know what? And he was just like, kind of like threw his hands up. He's like, I don't know, man. I didn't really think there was going to be a problem with it. But maybe we can get him on. I actually do have his Gmail. We can get in touch with him.
Especially right before the hot dog eating contest. That'd be great.
Well, I'm probably not going to get him right before the contest. We might get him a little after that.
It'll work. That'll be.
But that was a good one. Let's move on to Mr. Joba Chamberlain. We can't hear you, Joba.
Or the Joba? No.
See if you got disconnected. Here, let's skip over to let's go to Jake while Joba's figuring it out.
All right, so for my what smells topic of the week, I'm going to go to a little bit of homework pick. I'm going to go to the Dallas Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer said that in his, I believe it was his end of the mandatory minicamp interview, that the Cowboys are going to win, and when they win, their coaching staff is going to get rated. What winning does he think that the Cowboys are going to be doing after the horrible season that they've had, losing all of their free agents, going elsewhere after, I forget who it was. I think it was DeMarcus Lawrence going to the Seahawks and saying that he wanted to leave Dallas because he wanted to actually win, having Twitter fights with Micah Parsons, and how Micah Parsons can't do anything except play competitive winning football. And Brian Schottenheimer thinks he's going to come out here as a first-time head coach and win, and that his coaching staff's going to get rated when they win. After Mike McCarthy, by the way, was just let go, not even fired, just let go by Jerry Jones and the organization because they deemed that he was not good enough, and they said, go ahead and interview elsewhere. And now he's not even a head coach in the National Football League. What winning does he think is going to happen for his team? So, yeah, to me, this smells like fresh horse shit. And it is just completely asinine. I mean, they're not even going to be – they will be lucky if they win 7 games this upcoming season. So, yeah, I don't know what Brian Schottenheimer thinks he's doing. He's not his father. He is no coach Marty Schottenheimer. And that man was unlucky that he never won for how great of a coach he was. So, yeah, Brian, just stop, bro. Stop trying to stir up headlines for the
Oh, man. Joba, we got the sound working, bud?
Does it work?
Yeah, we got you. What do you got for us?
I'm going to give a good one because it's been, you guys have been shitting on people, which is fine to me. But the crazy part is, born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska, and getting to the College World Series and getting to meet so many people that love the College World Series and get to experience it, and sharing stories with fathers and sons. And my dad is my everything, and I lost him 3 months ago. And hearing stories about what they do and how a sports event can bring families together like nothing else. You know what that smells like to me? Happiness, smiles, loves, and tears. And I hope we all get to figure it out. And I absolutely love that. And I am so grateful to be a part of this show and to do it from here and experience the things that I've experienced that I can't send a fish in a video because I can't do it. Because I'm either crying, shaking, or doing whatever because it means the world to me. And boys, when I tell you, I am so thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for my father, and I'm thankful for every single one of you guys because you guys spend time, energy to get us to where we are. And you know what my father always told me? You are going to be the best in the city. You're going to be the best in the state. You're going to be the best in the country. And you're going to be the best in the world. What did I do? And this show is going to do the same thing. So enjoy the ride, boys.
Amen. Amen, Joba. Love that. Zach,
yeah.
Aaron, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I got one. Over the weekend, Eagles QB Jalen Hurts got married to his wife, Brianna Burrows, I think, in Napa Valley. And I think it's just amazing. You know, second ring he won this year. And it's going to be a short story. But I'm smelling a third ring next year. The Eagles are going to go back-to-back and win Super Bowl. They're going to win it.
Yeah, let's go, Zach. Talk today.
I'm sure they'll have no injuries all year. I'm sure
They
that
won't. They won't.
there's going to be no regression to the mean for Saquon, whatsoever. It's going to be just all sunshine and roses over there in Philly
Hell
with
yeah.
Big Dom on the sideline. I could see nothing going wrong whatsoever.
100%. No way.
Absolutely. Aaron, you got anything?
Not really, but can it be something that we've done already, or no?
No, we'll move on. Well, it's all right, man. Speedy.
All right, so I'm going to go to another a sad story that happened a couple years ago, 5 years ago, about obviously the tragic overdose with Tyler Skaggs passing away in his hotel room in 2019. And Eric Kay was the coach that got arrested. He's serving a prison sentence right now, and it was turned out to be Matt Harvey, Mets legend, had some involvement in that. And now there's another one that had involvement, longtime MLB pitcher Wade Miley. is now connected with that case as well, saying he gave him drugs when he was with the Diamondbacks. So, being I'm a Mets fan, then I'm going to use my What's That Smell to take shots at Matt Harvey again, because why not? So what does it smell like? It smells like the Dark Knight, Harvey Two-Face Dent's infected side with the blood and guts of rats and raccoons, because that's all Mets fans loved in 2021.
Okay, I like the Batman reference. I went with a Bane reference earlier today. We went to both Batman movies from. Hey, pretty strong. And I'm going to finish this off for tonight. I mean, how can I go any other place than the NBA Finals and the great NBA Finals analyst, Stephen A. Smith, intently watching the NBA Finals. Put the clip up, guys. This is how close Stephen A. is watching the finals. Oh, is that Spider Solitaire? Is that regular Solitaire? Maybe that's Free Cell. Oh, is it one of those great games, Stephen? Is the game so interesting to you that you are sitting there on your phone, not even playing a cool game, playing the game that was on your 1995 desktop? Let's face it. That's what you're doing. You never even learned how to play cool games. You don't know how to play even the less cool games, the games that aren't cool. I bet you don't even know how to play Candy Crush. You're sitting there playing solitaire. You have a media seat. You're on TV talking about the game. You're not watching the game. I don't want to hear that you're paying attention to the game. There is every single one of us on this screen and everyone across the internet would love to be in your shoes getting paid 5 years, $100 million a year. I've got the Regents for New York State that I'm covering to Proctor tomorrow. I can't have my phone in the room because New York State thinks that I'm going to it might invalidate the tests, as if I want to talk about some English test to anybody in the world, to anybody. Yet it's okay for Stephen A. making $20 million a year to sit there playing Spider Solitaire. What does that smell like? It smells like the biggest pile of bullshit on the face of the earth, coming from the butt of Stephen A. Smith. Guys, that is tonight's show. We made it. We got through the second ever Fishcast. The Fishcast strikes back. It is over. On Thursday, we're going to have another episode of the Fishcast because Errol is still there. So that one will be the return of the Fishcast. Yes, that'll be, if you guys follow along with the Return of the Jedi type of motto I'm going on with here. If not, that's quite all right. We have, Speedy, who do we have coming on Thursday?
All right, so joining the show for the first time on the show at 8:45 p.m., he is the New York Yankees Daily News writer Gary Phillips will be joining us on the show at 8:45.
By the way, the Thunder won tonight just now. Jalen Williams with 40 points and one away from the NBA title now.
New York Daily News. He's been with The Athletic, New Jersey Monthly, Sports Illustrated in the past two, now with the New York Daily News for the New York Yankees. And he said he's very excited to interact with you, Joba.
I don't even know who that is. So
he said he followed you as a kid, so he's definitely excited to be on here.
Chaba, how does that feel?
Why do you always say follow me as a kid?
That's what I was
saying. He was a kid, not when you were a kid.
I mean, I was a kid. I was 21 years old. Like, what? Like, are you trying to make me feel older now?
I don't know if it was intentional. I just feel like anyone who's 30 or younger thinks that like late 30s and older is like ancient history. Just absolute ancient history. Like were there at the dawn of time. We were in school carving our names into rock. You know what I mean? Like it's like real old. I've had kids tell me they think kids don't know how old you are. You know, as a teacher, they think some of you. They're like, "What are you, 60? What are you, 20?" Like, there's no idea. These kids.
I'm not even 40 yet.
I know,
and
man.
it's about to get busy here too because they just called the CWS. So.
Well, guess what? CWS still going on the rest of this week. We're going to have, more recaps of maybe the Stanley Cup final. We'll wrap up before our next show. Maybe same thing with the NBA finals. We're going to have plenty to talk about on Thursday.
And we're going to talk about the CWS. Don't fucking forget that, Fish.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Live from Omaha, Nebraska, we'll be talking about the College World Series on Thursday, as well as all the big things going on. We can't wait to see you there. Again, watch us on all the different streamings. Download us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you want to see us in video. If you haven't seen us in video, we do a lot of cool stuff on here. Want to give a special shout out to Zach, Aaron, and Jake, our interns, relatively new interns, stepping up in production roles tonight, stepping up on screen tonight. What a great job by you guys. Really pretty flawless tonight, boys. Really impressed. We're going to run it back again on Thursday. For everyone else at home, I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next time. Good night.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well,